Glorious day in the Rocky Mountains. Tomorrow will be an off day for the Rockies. Atlanta heads home, where they've been off the charts good. And the Rockies Friday will welcome in the Los Angeles Dodgers. Esmil Rogers, the calm before the storm, as he'll take to the mound today. 25-year-old. Just saw a no decision down in Arizona against the Diamondbacks. He's had 5 starts this year, and he's worked 11 times out of the pen. Omar Infante, with a 13-game hitting streak, has the batting gloves on. He'll be leading things off for Atlanta. He'll be followed again by Jason Hayward. They like him in that 2-hole. They figure the kid will see more fastballs there. And he's had a better first half, or second half, than he did in the first half. And he was pretty good in the first half. Then Martin Prado, Brian McCann back in there. Derek Lee slides to the 5th spot. Melky Cabrera, Alex Gonzalez has swung the bat well in this series. Rick Ankiel homered on Monday. He was off yesterday. Jair Jurgens, who is the ace of this Atlanta staff, along with Tim Hudson, is on the hill today. Let's take a look at the numbers on Rogers. 2-2 with a 4.53 ERA.
Feeling more comfortable as he works out of the starting rotation, and the bullpen was electric. 343 earned run average out as a starter at 540. The opposition at 266 out of the bullpen. The key for him, for me, is being able to handle with runners in scoring position. They've hit near 400 against him in that situation. So just the key, keep him out of scoring position and make pitches when they get there. And
you hope with a young pitcher that he learns something each time out and grows with each successive start. Here's the Rockies' defensive alignment. Cargo, Dexter Fowler, Seth Smith, Stewart, Tulowitzki, Eric Young, Todd Helton, Chris Ionetta's doing the catching. And you notice the last week or so, Jim Tracy's been able to roll out pretty much the same lineup every day. The only change has been behind the plate. One night it's Olivo, and the next day it is Ionetta. Otherwise, you're pretty much seeing the same 8 position players. Let's take a look at our Suzuki keys to the game. George, what do you have?
Well, you hope you come into this ballpark today and you want to come in against the Atlanta Braves, and Rogers needs to be able to do his thing and be able to do what he wants to do.
Let's play ball.
So the whole key for me in this deal is go ahead and sweep Atlanta. If you're able to do that, take care of home and let the crowd get involved in this ball game. And then, of course, Rogers out on the hill. And then I think it's very important you get after Jurgens early in this game. Don't let him get settled into the 3rd or 4th inning. He only gets stronger.
Well, first pitch is brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Text keyword pizza followed by a space and your name to 95323 to receive your Domino's special offer. And to be entered to win a pizza party for 12. One weekly winner will be chosen. First pitch misses, ball 1. 84 degrees our game time temperature in lower downtown, and this pitch is popped up to shallow right. An easy play for Seth Smith. 2 pitches, 1 out for Esmil Rogers, and that'll bring up Jason Hayward.
Well, you're taught so much as a young pitcher that's all about velocity. When you get to this level, it's more about location and then being able to add the velocity and maintain that location. He was able to do it early.
Yeah, there's so many young pitchers, George, that you end up talking about, yeah, when he came up, he was 94, 95, and they end up being more successful at a click or 2 below that.
Yeah, 88 to 92 miles an hour with movement down in the strike zone. Think about early and quick outs.
Hayward takes inside, ball 1. Hayward's been better out on the road, surprisingly. 289 batting average out on the road, just 244 at Turner Field. And this ball's drilled to right center field. Smith will have to play chase. Short hops the wall. And Hayward is going to think about 3. And he's going to have himself a triple. I assume they'll score it that way. He was getting ready, I think, to stop at second, and Smith had just a minor problem picking up the baseball. So with 1 out, Hayward at 3rd base.
I hit in an area of the ballpark where you can get a triple. And I think that's one thing about it. Fastball looking to the inner half, stayed to the middle of the plate on the Hyundai cam, squared up by Hayward in a right center field. And with his speed, and again, looking at him go into second base as he rounded, it's a pretty sure thing he's probably going to end up with a triple. The scorer saw it that way also.
So Martin Prado at the plate. gets moved back. It's 1-0. Prado hitting .317. He's driven in 47. He hit a home run on Monday night. (2-0). Rogers has been better here than out on the road. He has a .332 home ERA. And that's fouled off out of play. 2 balls and a strike on Martin Prado, a native of Venezuela, makes his offseason home in Florida now.
One of the big disadvantages for young pitchers is the fact of trusting their secondary stuff when behind in counts and being able to make pitches. So as a hitter, you almost look dead red fastball. He got it there, just couldn't handle it.
And a base hit through the right side and a 1-0 lead for Atlanta. He got a slider away, it was up in the zone. And Prado with his 48th RBI.
It's so hard with one out or nobody out and a runner at third base against a team like Atlanta to prevent that one run. What you're trying to do is prevent a big inning. You're not allowed to carry. Hanging breaking ball out over the plate, just took it to the right side where the pitch was thrown.
That'll bring up Ryan McCann.
McCann leading the National League in home runs with 17. Soto
among catchers.
Soto with 15, Oliva with 13, Barajas with 13, hit one last night.
First for his new club. Went from New York to Los Angeles. And 1-0 on McCann. His dad, a longtime baseball coach. He's the head coach at Marshall. His brother was a player. Works out with Brian in the off seasons. His dad has a hitting facility. That makes the workouts that much easier.
Don't have far to go.
No, his brother runs it. 2-0 on McCann.
That's a nice draw for his brother in the business too. You got an all-star catcher that comes in and works out every day, hits. Show those young kids what you preach a lot of times is carried right to the big leagues.
And that's pulled in the hole for a base hit. Prado is going to go first to third. So after getting Omar Infante to hit a fly ball to right, 3 straight hits against Rogers here in the first.
More about location than it is anything else. You just can't make mistakes at this level and try to get away with them. On the Hyundai cam, you'll see Ionetta's glove reached back. See how far he goes back to get to that baseball. A mistake made against a very good hitter, and he made you pay for it. First and third.
2 of the 3 hits, the triple and that single, were on the fastball from Rogers. And the league is hitting .319 against Rogers' fastball so far this year. He throws his breaking ball, his curveball, I should say, 16% of the time. They hit .194 against that. His slider, 15% of the time. They hit .250 against that, as this is fouled back by Derek Lee. And on occasion, he'll throw a changeup. And the league is hitting .500 against his changeup. So it's not just the 94-95. It's being able to locate it, try to get a little movement on it. 1 ball, 1 strike on Lee. 1 hit in the series, 1 for 8. What Rogers needs right now is a ground ball right in an infielder. Turn 2 and get to the dugout. First and third, 1 out, already run 1 run in, and just a slow ground ball, and all Todd Helton's going to be able to do is get Derek Lee. And that'll turn into an RBI, and for Derek Lee, it is RBI number 999 in what has been an outstanding career. 2-0 Braves.
Well, obviously, you'd like to see this ball hit a little bit harder instead of getting a little jam shot on a check swing, because maybe you get a ball on the ground, you get a double play ball in the Southwest cam. A check swing out front, Helton able to react as he held the runner at first, able to get Derek Lee. Run does score, though, and McCann out at second.
Melky Cabrera at the plate. Curveball swung on and missed. Cabrera played yesterday 0 for 4. One for his last 13 at the plate. And this is a flare to right center that's going to drop and produce another run. And now going for seconds, Cabrera, and he's in there with a double. An ugly start here at the top of the first inning for Esmil Rogers. The Braves have a 3 spot up, and they also have Jair Jurgens out there.
Well, that's the other key to this ball game. What he has done as a starting pitcher this year, very good numbers. That's something you'll deal with as the game progresses here. Changeup just came in on the inner half of the plate. It does. I mean, it's at 80 miles an hour. A little confusion in the outfield on who was going to take the baseball, Dexter or Smitty. When that happened, that allowed Cabrera to go ahead and move himself into second base.
Now the Atlanta Braves, 3rd in the league in runs scored, which is impressive when you look down their lineup and you see, Infante. He's not really thought of as, big run producer. He hits at the top of the lineup. Jason Hayward hitting the 2 holes, a kid. Prado's very good. McCann. They don't have that name that jumps off the page at you that say, oh, okay, that's why they produce so many runs. It's not like a Pujols and a Holiday in the middle of their lineup. But collectively, they find a way. 1-1. Rogers has to find a way to put this inning down. You had the dangerous Alex Gonzalez at the plate, who's had a big series. He's 3 for 7, including a home run in the first 2 ball games. Here's a home run last night against De La Rosa. The fastball at 94 down, and went and got it. De La Rosa pitched a beautiful game last night.
Total command of 3 pitches in the game, able to work off-speed stuff behind it counts.
The thing about his outing was once again the economy of pitches. De La Rosa 7 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits. He walked just 1, struck out 7, and he threw only 91 pitches. Two and 2 on Gonzalez. 3 and 2. Home plate umpire is the veteran Ed Rapawano.
Very good umpire, trained by, I've mentioned this many times. It seems like Eddie's worked a lot of series recently, but Frank Pulley was a guy that took him under his wing and was a very good National League umpire, very good low ball umpire typically.
And the strikeout of Gonzalez ends the inning, but Atlanta scores 3 runs against Esmil Rogers. Well, the first 2 ball games, the Rockies were the first to strike. Today, it's the Atlanta Braves getting 3 off Rogers in the first. There's Eric Young Jr. He had 3 hits last night. Second time in a week he's had 3 hits in a ball game. And he'll be followed by Dexter Fowler. He had the big hit in the 8th inning to drive in a couple last night. Cargo, a couple of hits last night, including a 2-run home run. Then Tulowitzki, Todd Helton, Ian Stewart slides in front of Seth Smith into the 6th spot. Ionetta will hit 8th, and then Rogers. And they'll face Jair Jurgens from Curacao. Spent some time on the disabled list this year with a hamstring injury. That's why his record is just 5 and 4, but a very solid ERA. This guy's a pitcher, George. He works both sides of the plate. He has an outstanding changeup.
Well, the thing about it, the ball club's 10-5 when he's on the hill. You know, so that tells you something about what he does when he starts. He gives you a chance to win. You mentioned the injuries that he's had to deal with this year. Nice start.
Yeah, that's a really nice start. Rick Ankiel will cut it off, and Eric Young Jr. stays hot with the bat. Let's take a look at the gloves for Atlanta. Melky Cabrera's in left field. Rick Ankiel in center. Jason Hayward is in right. Prado and Gonzalez on the left side of the diamond. Omar Infante and Derek Lee on the right side. Brian McCann is behind the plate. Dexter, a couple more hits yesterday. When he has 2 or more hits in a ball game this year, the Rockies are 18-5. That was a huge hit in the 8th inning last night. Rockies able to add on, get a 3-run lead going to the 9th inning for Houston Street. It's made it a little more comfortable. Something they do regularly at home and obviously don't do much of out on the road. With the win yesterday, the Rockies are now 40-20 at Coors Field this year. 1-1. That's a good example, George, right there of how he'll work both sides of the plate. I know that pitch was a ball, but the first pitch, a fastball away, first strike, and then he shows him in.
He's got a purpose behind everything that he does. And by coming in on that to make Dexter aware of that, now you can see McCann set up to the outside corner of the plate. And as a hitter, a lot of times you'll see hitters immediately when they throw to first base glance to see where the catcher's sitting. So now he knows in his mind where they may be trying to go. And of course, if the catcher feels that way, they may repeat and go right back inside. They're going away again. Let's see, that time McCann stood up. By the way, Jurgens is 4-1, 3.02 earned run average, and 6 starts against the Rockies in his career. Trying to get his first road win of the year. 4-4 with a 6 ERA.
They went away and he missed. 2-1. Fowler 5 for his last 12 with 3 RBIs. A little tardy on that swing. 2-2.
Not sure what that was. I don't know if it was just kind of totally fooled on the pitch. I mean, it's a changeup, but the location was terrible. It was chest high, but at 83, about 11 miles an hour off that fastball.
There goes Young, and this ball's lifted foul. George, your description's an excellent one, because usually on a changeup, the hitter's ahead of the pitch, not behind it.
Right. I mean, I was just like, what was that? I mean, because when I saw the pitch, and and I listened to you, and you said really behind on that, really behind on it. And you see it again coming out of his hand. It's that circle change that he throws, and you see the rotation of the baseball, but the ball was pretty much into the glove when Dexter's bat made a pass through the zone. That just tells you it was disguised very well by the pitcher.
Young not going, and again it's fought off by Fowler. Of course, this was the team Dexter followed growing up, living in suburban Atlanta, and he still makes his off-season home there. Perfect day. I mean, it is gorgeous out. Rockies beginning the day after Philadelphia lost its 16 innings last night to Houston. Begin the day 5 out in the wild card.
That time he got lucky because he had bounced out there pretty good. He'd taken the initial lead, thinking that he was going to go to the plate. He bounced out about 2 more steps, but Jurgens did not see it quick enough. Watch when he goes out here. He's going to get his lead, step, and all of a sudden he gets a little happy feet. Fortunately enough, but he didn't look over at that time.
Fowler making Jurgens work. He's fouled off 3 straight. It remains 2-2. See if EY takes off here. Not going, and it's cued to Richie Dower. First time since July the Rockies have won 3 straight. Swung on and missed. 1 out here in the bottom of the first inning, and Carlos Gonzalez will come up. If the Rockies score 7 or more runs during this game or any other, make your way to Taco Bell locations the following day in the state. Get there between 4 and 6 and get your Rockies Taco Special. A little pony at the plate. Young takes off. McCann's throw is not going to be in time.
Everything worked perfect from a catching standpoint all the way to the throw. It was all on the pitcher that time. Ely got a very good break on it. Just outran everything. Yeah, that's one thing about it. You know what? You can work all you want to, but when you've got this type of speed, this is just outstanding. Head down, looking straight at the bag. Got there well ahead of the throw. From the catching perspective, everything was perfect. Footwork, the throw, the accuracy. It's all on his pitcher on the mound.
Ribby out there now for Cargo. He'll step out. I like George when base stealers go in feet first for 2 reasons. One, it's safer.
That's the biggest thing.
And secondly, it allows you to utilize a pop-up slide. So if there's an errant throw, you're on your way to third quickly.
Well, that's why a lot of guys that go in head first, you see a shortstop, second baseman, a lot of times they sit on them.
Right.
Because then they can't get up and go anywhere. But if you go in feet first, they don't want to have those spikes up against their chest by going in. You see a guy, and trust me, middle infielders know who slide feet first and guys that go head first.
Here's the 2-0. I'll take it one step farther. Middle infielders, I know Mike Gallego used to tell this story. He's now coach with the Oakland A's when he was working with the Rockies. He knew what guys George wore spikes and what guys wore rubber cleats. The guys who wore rubber, he'd put his leg down in front of the bag and block it.
Yeah, sometimes you do that, and a lot of guys will, particularly on pickoffs. But you know, and I understand that philosophy behind it. I think too, you understand as a middle infielder, who are the guys that are going to come in and flip you too? Who comes in aggressively? Who doesn't come in aggressively? Double play balls.
Three and 1 on Gonzalez. Outfield shading him toward left center. And ball 4. So the Rockies get the tying run at the plate here with 1 out in the first inning in Tulowitzki.
Yeah, a lot of times you said, well, let's pitch around Gonzalez just because he has been so hot, been such a troublesome for the entire league. Yet Tulowitzki's 5 for 15 with a home run against Turgeon. So I mean, that kind of tells you where he's at too in this. So wasn't pitching around. He was just hoping to get him to swing at his pitches.
I think productive offensive teams, George, by and large, are going to have 2 guys at least back to back that are very difficult to deal with. And it's always, you know, the pick your poison. And then there's the guy behind him who may not get as much fanfare, but it's going to drive in 80+ runs. For years, that was Brad Hopp here. And Helton and Holiday, and then Brad Hopp. Helton serving that role the last week or so. Todd's on deck, but right now the Rockies have the dynamic duo of Cargo in the 3-hole and Tulowitzki 4. Here's the 0-1. And it's pulled hard, but right at Prado, and they're going to turn it into a double play. Around the horn they go. And the Rockies get a little something going in the first. Couldn't cash it in, though. 3-0 Braves. Braves got 3 in the first. As we go to the second, it's time to check in with Alana Rizzo after this pitch with our great Colorado Payback sideline report. Alana.
Hey guys, thanks very much. Chris Iannetta is getting much better at calling a game. That's according to Jim Tracy. I said, what have you noticed as his biggest improvement? He said, really, it's both the mental and physical side of the game behind the plate. He's getting so much better at tightening things up with his pitching staff. Now, Iannetta has a .204 batting average, and to Jim Tracy, really, that is secondary. He does not want his catchers, both in Iannetta and Miguel Olivo, to really read into their average at all. He said, your main focus is dealing with the pitchers, calling a great game, and being one-on-one with them. Everything else is secondary, guys.
Well, Rick Ankiel lines a double off the wall. Gonzalez goes down. He's okay, it looks like. So a leadoff double for Ankiel. And Rogers going to have to turn this around in a hurry, George, because you're at the time of year and you're playing a team and you're facing a pitcher that you don't have the luxury of letting him work his way through this over an extended period.
No, you don't. And the sad part about that, too, is your bullpen a little bit short out there, too. He's going to have to eat up some innings. He's going to have to do some things. Betancourt probably not available again today.
Yeah, Betancourt
hey, by the way,
has a little bit of a strain on the in the lower abdominal region. Go ahead.
I was going to add on something to Alana, and this is for folks to think about. How many guys are looking at top 10 home runs in RBIs? The catching tandem here in Colorado, 20 home runs, 70 RBIs. That, if you just had molded one guy into that, you're in the top 10, 12 players in the National League right now in home runs and RBIs. It's a pretty good combination they got working.
Yes, it is. Jurgens fans on the bunt attempt, 1-1. Jurgens a really bright young man. Originally came up with Detroit. He was part of the Edgar Renteria trade a few years ago. He speaks 5 languages.
I always thought about that. Guy speaks 5 languages. That means you got to find 5 different people to speak that with you.
On
Is that a little bit of a yogiism there?
Well, to stay sharp, there's,
I mean,
you're
really.
right. I mean, it's not like you stay sharp in a language if you never use it.
I tell you, that doesn't sit well with Bobby Cox. He prides himself on training their pitching staff to be able to do all facets of the game, and one of the bigger ones, help yourself out by laying a bunt down.
Jurgens got the one clap as he went by. All right, you get him next time. Omar Infante at the plate.
You just keep getting outs.
Yeah. Infante, a career best 13-game hitting streak. In fact, it's even better than that. Over the last month, he's hit 25 of his last 26. Slider for a strike. In the month of August, hitting .370. Only 4 players in the National League better than that. Albert Pujols has gone nuts again. He's leading the parade at .436. Ryan Braun next at .429. Braun's teammate Casey McGee at .380. Tulo's on that list. Troy's hit .359 in the month of August. See where for Pujols, George, his next home run will be number 400. Didn't he just get into the league?
It seems like it was like yesterday. What is it, 10 straight seasons of 300?
300,
I mean, 30 home runs in 10 straight seasons?
Yeah, and it'll be 10 straight of you were right, 30-plus home runs, which he already has.
100 RBIs.
100 RBIs and a 300 average. Oh, 2 on Omar Infante. Rick Ankiel, the leadoff double. He's at second, 3-0 Braves. Swung on and missed. Good slider. 2 outs. And the first time through was a bit messy for Rogers.
Well, that's where you can't get lazy in this situation with Hayward. He hit a ball off the right center field wall on you and a triple on a fastball. So this is where you've worked very hard to get 2 outs. Go ahead and complete the inning. Shut it down here.
good fastball hitter, and that's what he hit for the triple in the first inning. And naturally, he doesn't see the fastball initially. 1-0. Be interesting now to watch Chris Iannetta. See if he goes off speed again. Looks like he wants a fastball away.
This young man at the plate, Jason Hayward's one of those guys, because he's jumped into the categories in the National League Rookie of the Year race. One of them that jumps out at me, 2 outs, runners on base. What does he do? He only hits .356. So he's getting big hits for Bobby Cox in this club.
Yeah, he's had some walk-off hits this year, including one against the Rockies.
Think about this, 22 walk-off wins, 15 different guys have swung the bat when that's happened. It hadn't just been Chipper Jones, it hadn't just been Troy Gloss, it's been everybody.
Runs batted in among rookies. Gabby Sanchez 1, Howard is 2. 3-0. And they pitch very carefully, obviously, to Hayward. There's no picnic with the guy coming up in Prado. But at least it's right on right. It does set up a force all the way around. Let's take a look at our Breaks Plus. Take a break. Poll question. I love this one today, George. I know what you would do. Have you ever called in sick to attend a day game? Text Rocks 1 for yes. In fact, I feel the sniffles coming on now. Text Rocks 2 for no.
Well, you know, for my whole life, I've just gone to the ballpark. I never got to call in sick, so I don't know how that works.
But you would have.
There's no question.
So would have I. One and 0 on Prado. You're mentioning the bullpen being thinner with Betancourt being down today, and the fact that they're one less already anyhow in the bullpen. The good news is tomorrow's an off day. Ubaldo Jimenez will begin that Dodger series on Friday.
Yeah, Chad Billingsley will go for the Dodgers.
And yes, if you haven't checked yet, the Rockies will see Clayton Kershaw. That'll be on Saturday. Sunday's matchup is Hamill and Ted Lilly. Rockies owe a little payback on Ted Lilly. Two and 1 on Prado. See his game plan, George. A guy that will let the ball travel. A guy that hits the ball so well to the opposite field. Typically, when you see that, you're talking about a guy who hits for average.
Well, he hits for average, but he trusts his hands. He trusts to be quick enough to get to the 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Prado, a lifetime 308 hitter in the big leagues. In the minor leagues, he was a 302 hitter. So this isn't a Johnny come lately. He's always been able to hit.
See, that's the thing with me. It's kind of like the guy in the minor leagues. You look at him and they go, is he going to be a starting? Is he going to be a reliever? What's he going to be? But all he does is win. You know, he wins double digits or high single digits every year as a starting pitcher. Well, it's like these guys, you know, he's kind of small. He can't do this. He can't do that. But yet he hits 300 every year. At some point, you got to give that guy a chance.
He's had more at-bats this year than ever before in his career. Last year he had 450 at-bats, hit 307 with 11 home runs. So this year he set a career high already, not only in the games but in the home runs with 14. And he's one ribby from his career high set last year of 49. Runners moving 3-2, and that's a fair ball down the right field line. Hayward around third, he gets a green light. And a fan touched the baseball. You have fan interference, and see if they send Hayward. It's up to the umpires. We'll see if they send him back to third.
All the umpires, and Eddie called him in immediately. He wants to talk to him. What do you guys think? Would he have scored on this if the ball would have gone around? I like what Eddie Rapuano's doing here.
I think he's got to go to third, George, because I believe that the Rockies had a play on him at the plate.
Yeah, it's tough to tell when he gets down and ricochets off of that corner what they have. Eddie's going to ask those questions of where they are.
And Jim Tracy's already a step away if they do indicate that it's the run scores. And you know what? They're saying, I believe they're saying the run scores because Tracy's now arguing with the first base umpire, Tom Hallion. Now, why is the argument with Hallion?
Is his call down the right field line and where the ball would be traveling.
Well, no, I understand that, but in terms of the umpires getting together and saying the run scores. We'll have to see if we have a decent replay to determine where Hayward was and where Smith was.
That's a great job by our truck. You're going to see it right here. Hayward's on the fly when, as Drew mentioned, 3-2 count. You're going to see the runner at first base going down the line. The ball just touched there, and then you're going to see Hayward he's just approaching third base. And I agree with you, Drew. He ought to be back at third. I'm not sure he should be all the way in at home plate right now.
I don't think that's right.
You know, he wasn't all the way past third yet. But
I mean, if it's a foregone conclusion he's going to score, that's one thing. But I think the Rockies, I'm not saying he would have been out, but you'd have a play. Yeah, not going to go Colorado's way, and they're down 5-0 in the second inning. And you have another runner in scoring position with Prado out there on that 2-run double.
And that base hit also, you mentioned, career high in RBIs. And
it's going to be 6-0. And McCann with his 65th RBI. Rogers has given up 3 in the first, 3 here in the second. And that old line enters the picture. You can't win a game in the first inning or the second inning, but you can make it really difficult.
Well, that's the key to it. I mean, Bob Apodaca's had to make 2 trips early in this ball game. Dead fastball hitter, a guy that likes to extend his arms, dead pull hitter, able to go get a fastball at 94 miles an hour and just pull it out into center field, and the run comes around. Prado's been a headache all the way around. 3 RBIs today in the ball game. McCann picks up a 65th RBI. The middle of their lineup's done their job. Well, Manny Corpus may have to bite up some innings today. He's going to start throwing down in the bullpen. "46 pitches through 2 innings, 25 of those strikes."
And there's so many bromides in baseball. And I know one of the ones that Jim Tracy generally follows is, if you're in trouble once, okay. That happens. If you're in trouble twice, generally you don't get the opportunity to get in trouble a third time.
Not with Jimmy. And that's something that he talked about to Felipe Alou, really hammered into his head as a young manager, young coach for him. Give me once, give me twice, you're not going to get us a third time, particularly those high impact innings.
Derek Lee had a check swing RBI ground out. That breaking ball misses. It's 2-0.
I think the one thing that the Rockies have learned in this ballpark is, yeah, okay, you're down 6-0. But I'm going to tell you what, come in and let's just get 1 or 2. Don't try to get 6 in 1 inning. Get 1 or 2, peck away, and try to get back into this game by the end of it. And they've been able to do that on numerous times. It's just a little more difficult task today on who they're facing.
2-1 on Derek Lee. Derek Lee's a lot like Todd Helton in that they're hard workers. They go about their business. They never complain. But Derek Lee's back is not in a good place.
Yeah, well, in a lot of ball games, you know, in a lot of day games too. That's the thing about it, where he was in Wrigley Field all those times.
Just watching him in this series, George, and on a 2-0 fastball, he's late.
Yeah, he's trying to cheat.
Bat.
A lot of guys, as they get farther along in their career, they look dead red. They try to cheat, start the bat earlier.
Not a good average out on the road. 220. 3-2 on Lee. McCann takes off, and that is a fair ball down the left field line. And McCann stumbled going around second, and he gets a green light, and he's going to score 7-0, and that may just force the hand of Jim Tracy.
Yeah, if Corpus is ready, and he's a guy that can get ready pretty quick, it will. Jim Tracy's going to pop out of there. He's seen enough. With Lee, that ball found the eyes to get down the line. 61 RBIs now for Derek Lee, and as you mentioned earlier, his 1,000th RBI for Mr. Lee.
He's the 267th player with 1,000 ribbies. A short day for Esmil Rogers. Just did not have it. You don't have to be a professional athlete to stuff away money. You can start with as little as $25 a month. You can do it through an automatic deposit as well. So check them out online. Collegeinvest.org. Get started saving for your kids' futures. And that counts, folks, for colleges, four-year universities, junior colleges, technical schools as well. The 529 plan through College Invest. That pitch is in there for a strike on Melky Cabrera. So after an inning and 2/3, Rogers is gone. He's given up at least 7 runs. Corp is trying to get that 3rd out. 3 in the first, 4 here in the second for Atlanta. And this will do it. Eric Young will throw to Helton. Cabrera retired. Rockies have some work to do offensively, down a touchdown. Atlanta already has 7 runs on 8 hits. Esmil Rogers gone after getting just 5 outs. Todd Helton will step up here in the second inning against Jair Jurgens. Helton hitting .291 since coming off the disabled list, including a couple of home runs and 7 RBIs. Rockies had a couple base runners in that first inning against Jurgens. Tulowitzki hit the ball very hard with runners at first and second. A one-hop bullet, but it was right at the third baseman Prado. Turned it into a 5-4-3 double play. What's the mindset, George, on the bench when there's a lopsided score early?
Well, I think it depends on the team, to be honest with you. I think if it's a team that's obviously in contention and hungry and they want to get back into a ball game, be patient. From the hitter's perspective, I think it's important the manager comes and says something to you, and I think a lot of managers do, hitting coaches. You got 8 more bats. You got 24 outs to try to whittle away at this thing. But where you get kind of down is when you get into that 5th and 6th inning. You know, and all of a sudden you're still down 7-0, and the guy's sticking it on you pretty good.
Omar Infante will throw out Helton, 1 gone. Let's take a look at our Geico quote of the day. Warren Spahn, great left-handers in the history of the game. The late Warren Spahn, hitting is timing, pitching is upsetting timing. And that is the simplest and truest explanation of what your old craft was all about.
Well, it is. I mean, just make the adjustments to the hitters and make them make adjustments to you. You know, I mean, that's I was fortunate, though. Warren lived the latter part of his life in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he managed the AAA team, and when they were AAA in Tulsa, and got to spend a lot of time with him at golf courses and 18 holes of asking questions and being around him, the winningest left-hander in the game.
Fastball on past Ian Stewart. It's 0-2. Stewart right now, George, hitting almost 40 points higher than he finished at last year. You know, the home runs were nice last year in the mid-20s, but he hit just 228. This year he's at 266. Already got 1 more hit this year than he had all of last year. 98 versus 97.
I've said this in the past. I still believe it. I think he's a lot like Brad Hopp. He's going to hit that month-and-a-half streak where nobody can get him out. He's going to hit a month streak that a 6th grader can get him out. And he'll hit that month again that there's nobody can do anything to him. And when it's all said and done at the end of the year, he's going to catch a lot of balls at third base and save you a lot of games. He's going to end up with 18 to 25 home runs and 75 RBI.
It's a pop-up to center field. And Ankiel makes the catch. 2 outs.
Don't forget about power tickets. $10 to $15 in free concession with those power tickets. They're available for every single home game here at Coors Field. 1-800-388-ROCK, or just go online to ColoradoRockies.com.
Seth Smith, who homered yesterday, is behind 0-1.
Wondering how Jim Tracy might try to manage his bullpen. Corpus has gone 3 innings a couple of times. Both times he didn't give up any runs.
Well, at this stage of it, you manage it like he's a starting pitcher. He's going to get at bats.
Well, you're forced to.
Yeah.
Kind of standard rule of thumb. If you're down 7-0 after 4, then you'll pinch hit for your pitcher. You'll do some things to get you through those 9 innings. But anytime it happens prior to the 4th, they're going to get as many innings as they can out of the bullpen guy coming in.
This ball is hit to right field and deep, and it's time to try. Seth Smith, back-to-back ball games with a home run, and the Rockies are on the board. Smith's 16th big fly of the year.
See if we made a mistake with this pitch. Remember, the last 2 times he's hit home runs, they've been balls up into the zone, and I want to see if this is where they tried to load him up this time.
Of course, like Cold Hard Blast, a new career high for Seth Smith with his 16th home run of the year. Last year, George, he hit 15 home runs, 335 at bats. It's basically half a season's worth of at bats. That home run, his 16th, was in his 292nd. And a guy who plays every day will get about 550 at bats, maybe 600 at bats. So you do the math. You're talking about it's a half a season worth of at bats. This is to center field. And that's one of the things that Jim Tracy said again before the ball game. They're checking out Seth Smith, finding out, is this a guy that we can get 500 plus at bats out of, and what kind of numbers does he put up then?
Well, you have to find out. That's the thing. Can his body handle the workload?
7-1. Yeah, Seth Smith goes deep again. First time since May he's gone deep in back-to-back ball games. The Rockies have one marker now, 7-1. Manuel Corpus in relief of Esmil Rogers. He got the final out of the 2nd inning, and the slider is in there for a strike on Alex Gonzalez. Welcome back. That's George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman. You probably know some of that already. This is our friend John Aragoni from the Boys and Girls Clubs of hold on a second.
Go foul.
Of Colorado. It's not going. That's going to be in that corner fair. It's in our crowd. That's a ground rule double. So Alex Gonzalez leads off with a double, and we'll continue with John. John joins us periodically during the season. How's things going, first and foremost?
Things are going just great for us. You know, the school's open, the kids are back in the clubs in large numbers, and the FSN club is just doing a great job for the kids. And we're coming down the home stretch in our Rocky Mountain Raffle, which we're going to talk about, of course. And right now is a wonderful time of year.
It is, because kids come after school, and I don't think we can promote this enough. If you have a young kid and you want them to go to a safe environment, that's a nice job of hitting by Ankiel and move the runner over. You want them to go to a safe environment where it's not just about athletics. There's arts and crafts, there's computers, the Boys and Girls Clubs, and it costs you $1.
Up. You got it wrong. $2.
I'm wrong. Forgive me.
It's $2, 8 quarters.
It's a horrible deal, folks. Inflation is set at $2 for the whole year.
$2 for the year, and we have 10,000 kids that are coming in our doors in 9 different facilities. And you're right, it's safe, fun. There's caring adults, great expectations, and lots of rewards for the kids when they do their work.
Well, it's not just rolling out of basketball or football in the fall either. There's computer rooms, there's arts and crafts rooms where the kids go, and they continue the education after 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Health and life skills, education, the arts, technology, and of course sports and fitness and character development. Good stuff.
Corpus looking to get the strikeout on Jurgens here to produce the 2nd out. The infield's in with the Rockies down by 6 runs. You been out to the ballpark lately?
Well, today I'm here, and I've been to a few games, and you know, this is just a wonderful afternoon, and it's great to see the Rockies you know, making a charge here at the end of the season, and we all know they're going to do it.
So I got to ask you, our poll question was how many people would call in sick, you know, and then come to a beautiful day like this to the ballpark. So how many people that work for you called in sick today that you've seen around the ballpark that you've got?
Wait a second.
I got to tell you, I haven't seen any of these. You know, kind of, we were out in the open about it today. You know, everyone was coming to the ballpark.
That's good. You know, so nobody's walked by you, John. Oh, this ball's hit well to right field. Smith misjudges it and goes over his head. He would have scored the run anyhow. Instead, it turns out to be a double for Jurgens, and this has been a tough start for the Rockies. They're down 8-1.
I have a question I want to ask you. And I've been around you 2 or 3 times through FSN. You have a huge monster passion for what you do.
Yes.
You love what you do.
Yes.
Why?
There's a point at which you kind of believe that you want to give back to community, and this is my way to do that. And I would say that's true for all of our staff. People are passionate, they're committed, and we get charged up not just from the kids, George, but also from the community that believes in what we do.
That's neat.
Yeah, it's great.
John,
there's a lot of guys in your position. A lot of times, a lot of guys, they've got a job. And you can tell you truly love this job.
Our whole team, no one really feels like you get up and go to work every day. You get out and do a good thing.
This is hit over the wall and left. Wow. This is turning into one of those days. Omar Infante now has a 14-game hitting streak. 3 in the first, 4 in the second, and 3 now here in the third. It is 10-1.
Oh, keep talking, please.
Well, last time we were here, we were talking about a promotion we've got going on, the Rocky Mountain Raffle, and we're coming into the home stretch of that. And I encourage everybody to go to the RockyMountainRaffle.com website and consider purchasing a ticket to win a beautiful home at Spire, the 41st floor downtown, or win $1 million in cash. And it's all about raising money for the kids throughout Colorado.
Jason Hayward at the plate. We're going to show the graphic of what you can win right now in the Rocky Mountain Raffle, and we've done several of these. It benefits, all the proceeds benefit the Colorado Boys and Girls Clubs, and tickets are $100. That's down low. And again, Rocky Mountain Raffle, RockyMountainRaffle.com, or you can call the toll-free number 877-892-2999.
Great example of just what you're doing with this raffle when you talk about the community involvement to get something like this done.
Right, George. It's a big deal, and I tell you, get in sooner than later. We're giving away 100 prizes along the way. There are 2 cars involved in this, thanks to Doug Moreland and our good friends there, and lots of cash along the way. And someone's going to win, and it should be you, Drew. Maybe you, George. What do you think?
I'm in. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to get in. I never win anything, but that's okay. This is not about winning. You win as soon as you write that check, because kids are the ultimate winners in this. And there's 9 area Boys and Girls Clubs in the metropolitan area.
Metropolitan area, that's right. And we're in Metro Denver. We're serving 9,000 children across the state. The number gets closer to 37,000.
Wow.
And as I said, the net proceeds of this raffle will go to help kids all across the state do better in school, lead healthier lifestyles, and grow up to be good kids of character and citizens.
See, I think that's what I like about it, the life skills and the characters, the citizen side of things, who to hang out with, how to hang out, how to conduct yourself in public environment.
It's probably
I think that's what it's big about.
Yeah, it's probably, to pick up on George's point, different sets of circumstances depending on what communities the different Boys and Girls Clubs are settled in.
That's right. Well, there's one common factor, given our locations and so forth. We're primarily serving kids all across the state from disadvantaged circumstances, and you know this from the Wilfley Boys and Girls Club that FSN supports. And if it weren't for the Boys and Girls Clubs, the kids would have it much tougher than they already do.
Yep.
Well, neat part is snack after school.
Right.
Something to drink after school. Right. Go in on a computer that they're not going to be able to go into at home.
Right.
Learn how to play a game. I learned how to box at the Boys Club.
You told me that.
That hurt too.
We don't do that anymore, but there was a long time when we did boxing.
That was a long time Boys Club boxing, man. It was huge in Springfield, Missouri, where I grew up.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal.
Do you know what's neat for me is on a couple different occasions been involved with your annual award ceremonies.
Yes.
And again, I think there's sometimes a misconception I want to harp on. If you have a youngster out there and you think, well, you go to the Boys and Girls Clubs just to hoop. That's what I did. I went to a boys club and I played basketball, but there were awards for arts and crafts. There was music-related awards. There were so many academic-related, technology-related
and I'll tell you,
stuff.
our homework help and reading programs are huge, and we're really helping prepare kids to do better in life and reach their full potential. Now, for a long time, we were known as a swim gym operation, but we're celebrating our 50th year next year.
Right.
And this is not your mother's boys and girls clubs anymore. I mean, this is a place for kids to really flourish, and a lot of work in academic success. We're really pushing that hard.
Yeah, a lot of fun when we came out. I was able to come a year ago out to the clinic, the baseball clinic.
Yes.
And we had kids coming from everywhere.
I
I never
know.
saw so many yellow school buses pulling up, guys piling off, had their gloves, their Rockies gear, and let's go, man.
Right.
That was fun.
We are blessed, and I would be remiss not to thank the Colorado Rockies and FSN, you know, for all that you do to make our programming possible. It's the community that comes together, and you guys know this better than anyone.
Well, you know, when we did the clinics, the one thing I look at a lot of times, because I do a lot of these around the United States, and I do them in Oklahoma, one of the things that you find is how much respect the kids give.
Right.
You know, they'll ask a question, and it's sir, you know, and thank you, sir.
Yes.
And a lot of times, you said, underprivileged families, it's not a situation where they have mom and dad both at home.
Right.
And somebody's teaching those kids manners.
Well, it takes a community, and it's a privilege to be at a Boys and Girls Club. And the kids know that there are discipline involved if they act out, but our kids are great, and we just couldn't be luckier.
John, thanks so much for what you do. Again, the Rocky Mountain Raffle will continue. It's $100 a ticket. You know how worthy the cause is. And there's some of the information on how you can get involved. John, continued success in all you do. Get out there and start rooting for this offense to get going. We have some catching up to do.
I'm with you. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, John.
Thank you, Drew.
At any time of day, particularly in the third inning, 10-1 Atlanta. They have 11 hits in this ball game, and many of them extra base hits. Manuel Corpus will lead things off against Jair Jurgens in the third inning. Rockies' lone run came on a home run from Seth Smith last inning. And this is a ground ball to short. Gonzalez will take his time and throw out Corpus.
Yeah, it's never good when you look up the board the third inning. Your starting pitcher, or I should say relief pitcher in the ball game, is getting his first at bat. You're down 10-0.
And their guys on the other team who already have 3 ABs.
Yeah, 10-1 actually. I do have one on Smitty's big one.
This date in history is brought to you by Dex One Marketing Solutions Business Results. A year ago, Colorado moved to 18 games above 500 for the first time in club history. The wild card leader would cut the Dodgers' division lead from 15.5 games on June 3rd down to 2. Eric Young Jr. singled in the first. He stole second. Gonzalez would walk with one out, and then Tulowitzki, who you just saw in that shot, hit a sharp one hopper, but it was right at Martin Prado, turned into a 5-4-3 double play.
The thing now, when you've had long innings like this offensively, the thing for McCann to do is make his starting pitcher get back into the rhythm and work.
The one thing in the back of your mind, you're facing a very tough guy in Jurgens, but with the Rockies, the one thing you have in the back of your mind is that this is Coors Field. The Rockies have put up big numbers here year in and year out. Nothing's impossible. I mean, the Rockies had an 11-run inning earlier this year, but you're down 9. If you can chip away, get a couple.
That's what you got to do. That's what you got to look at it that way.
That's the only way you can look at it. You're not going to get 9 in one fell swoop. AT&T trivia question. Which 4 managers in Major League history have had 2,000 wins with one club? Fowler struck out his first time after a lengthy at bat. 0-1 the count. Dexter's hitting 8 of his last 9. 353 average during those 9 ball games.
And I will assure you one thing, Jurgens not going to change his game plan. He's not going to go just strictly fastball changeup and try to have quick innings and quick outs. He's going to go ahead and pitch this game like it's 1-0.
Of the 11 hits for Atlanta, 8 are extra base hits. He's chopped over the mound to second, and Infante will throw out Dexter Fowler. It's a 1-2-3 inning. Rockies trailing at 10-1 as we go to the 4th inning at Coors Field. Brian McCann will lead off, and Corpus misses ball 1. McCann's 2 for 2. That's fouled off. You know, so much of the conversation this year of late, and it's happened virtually every season, maybe save last year when the conversation was about how well the Rockies were playing on the road, but it's always been about the disparity between what the Rockies are able to produce in Denver and what they do when they're out on the road. Man, oh man, this is going to be the 9th extra base hit of 12 hits for the Braves already in this game.
Elevated fastballs. A lot of times what you got to do is continue to make pitches, because I can tell you right now, they're going to continue to swing the bat as a ball club. High fastball from Corpus. We're all up into the strike zone. Just took it out into left center field where it's pitched. Now Doogie's going to come out and check him right here. Obviously something isn't right with Manuel Corpus. Sprint it out. Eduardo going to see some things. Ed Rapuano's going to check on some things. I don't know if it's just that he doesn't feel well or what it is, but you know what? Chris Iannetta called him out, so that's something they can't mess around with. Left-hander Matt Reynolds.
Well, there won't be another pitch thrown. Corpus is departing. So with McCann at second, Derek Lee up. Matt Reynolds will do all his warming up right here in front of a very nice Wednesday afternoon crowd. Get an update on Manuel Corpus as soon as we have it. 10-1 Atlanta. Pretty day at Coors Field other than the scoreboard. Unless, of course, you're a Braves fan. Braves up 10-1. Today's call to the bullpen is brought to you by Xfinity Voice. Unlimited local and long distance calling. Call 1-800-XFINITY.
Well, the left-hander Matt Reynolds coming into the ballgame. First appearance at Coors Field. Should not make a whole lot of difference about altitude. He's been down and pitched very, very well at Colorado Springs. See the numbers so far on the season, inning and 2/3. Yet to give up that, should I say it and jinx it? Eventually you're going to give up a hit in your big league career, aren't you? Eventually?
Well,
eventually.
The odds are heavily in favor of, at some point, giving up a hit. Here's the 1-1 to Derek Lee. 2-1. Derek Lee drove in a run on an RBI ground out in the first, and then an RBI double in the second, produced his 1,000th career RBI. Leadoff double from McCann. 9th extra base hit already in this ball game for Atlanta. They have a home run from Omar Infante, a triple from Jason Hayward, and 7 doubles. In fact, I'm looking down this lineup, George.
Yes.
Everybody has an extra base hit. The pitcher, Jurgens, had a double and an RBI his last time up. Go over this. Here's the 2-2, and Lee hits it on the ground to short. It's the first out. Reynolds still hasn't given up a hit. Omar Infante leads off. He has a 2-run home run. Hayward's got a triple. Prado's got a double in the 3-hole. McCann's got a double. Derek Lee has a double. Cabrera has a double. Gonzalez has a double. Ankiel has a double. And Jurgens has a double. Not only everybody has a hit, everybody's got an extra base hit. This is Melky Cabrera. Let's take a look at our AT&T trivia question. Looking for the 4 managers to win 2,000 games with one team. Bobby Cox, of course, Cornelius McGillicuddy, John McGraw, and Walter Alston with the Dodgers. Three and 0. I mean, that thing with the extra base hits, everybody in the lineup having an extra base hit, that can't happen very frequently.
Well, you better hope it doesn't happen frequently.
Well, you better hope if you're on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, honestly, I wonder.
So you got
when
Doug
was
doing something.
Well,
Doug,
I wonder,
Doug's like,
I wonder
thanks.
when the last time that happened. You see games where everybody gets a hit, pitcher included, but in the National League, everybody has an extra base hit, and you're in. And not only that, you're in the 4th inning.
You don't have to rub it in.
Just reporting. Just reporting the facts.
The news, reporting the news of the day. Yeah.
The facts aren't pretty right now. 3 and 2 on Melky Cabrera. Right elbow soreness, the word on Manuel Corpus. That's not good.
Well, particularly, you know, you had a little bit of that bone spurs a year ago. Some other things going on. Here's the box score Drew's been talking about so far. Infante with a 1-for-3, a 2-run home run. Hayward, Grotto, McCann, Lee, Cabrera, Gonzalez, Ankiel, they've all done it.
Two outs, Alex Gonzalez. As you see there, 1 for 2, a double. That's in there for a strike. Two balls and a strike on Gonzalez, the former Florida Marlin. He watches that go low in the strike zone. 3 and 1.
Yeah, they really thought they'd be able to keep that double play combination together. Castillo and Gonzalez down in Florida for a long time. They were very, very good at what they did. Like a lot of players, though, as they got better, the price tag got higher, and Florida unloaded and replaced. A pretty good guy at short now in Hanley Ramirez.
And they had a good guy at short, Edgar Renteria, when he played down there. So think about the Florida Marlins. They get star players, they develop star players. A lot of times those star players are moved along, but they always seem to have another wave. And Keel at the plate takes ball 1.
It happened yesterday. Cody Ross going over to San Francisco Giants to add a 5th outfielder for them, possibly starting center field for them. Cameron Maben, one of their top draft picks, was called up today.
Maben was up earlier in the year, then was sent out.
If they're not going to play and they're a young player, they need to be sent out. They need at bats. I mean, they won't agree with you a lot of times.
Got away from Reynolds, and Ankiel gets plunked.
Second guy he's hit. Caught one the other day in the hip in Arizona.
That'll bring up Jurgens with 2 outs.
Yeah, another look. This just spinner just didn't happen to have enough spin to it. Goes to the backside, catching right on the back of that lead arm, his right arm. Trying to spin that slider to the outside corner.
How about this? Doug just did a little research. On July 30th, that's just a few weeks ago, the Rockies were playing the Cubs. That was the ball game where the Rockies scored 12 in the 8th inning on 11 straight hits. The Cubs in that ball game had a an extra base hit from every one of their players, 1 through 9.
And got crushed.
I said the Cubs. The Rockies had.
Yeah, the Rockies scored the 12
Yeah, the
runs.
well, the
11,
Rock, yeah,
they
the
had
Rock,
the extra base hits.
The
not
Rockies
the
are
Cubs.
the Rockies are the team that had the all the extra base hits. I misread his note.
That's
0
not
and
hard
2.
to do.
1 and 2.
I guess
But
Dougie wants you, Dougie wants you to read
here's
another
something a
one
little
'cause he
different.
put it back.
Well, you know, Melvin Mora doubled in that 8th inning, working out of the 9-hole, and so it counts because it's 1 through 9. But when was the last time, Doug? No, you're not getting off easy. When was the last time the pitcher was also involved, where he was the guy who?
Oh, come on, that's not fair.
Got nothing else to do. 1 and 2.
Oh, well, Doug, I guess you just drink coffee the whole game, sit back and relax, huh? Eat banana pudding?
1 and 2 with 2 outs.
Well, the only thing concerned a little bit here, because Reynolds is a guy that's only been like an inning and a third, 2 innings. He's already got 24 pitches in this, trying to get the last, or get the 3 outs here in the 3rd inning. Got to eat up more innings. And you let a guy that hasn't thrown a lot of innings all year, and you let him go out there and do 2 or 3 innings, really affect him for about a week.
For a guy with an .069 batting average coming in, he's hanging in pretty tough. Bases loaded for Atlanta, 2 outs, and Jurgens went around. That'll end the 4th inning. And Atlanta did not score, though it felt like they did. They leave the bases loaded. Time for our job done right player of the series, Carlos Gonzalez. Oh, the Rockies 4 for 8, home run, 3 RBIs. Got the Rockies started on the right note last night with a 2-run home run. There it is. It's presented by the Colorado Association of Mechanical and Plumbing Contractors. To have your next building or service project done right the first time, visit jobdoneright.org. 4th inning, Cargo will lead things off for the Rockies against Jair Jurgens. Rockies down 10-1. They've been out hit 12-2. So I started to talk last inning, George, and then we had the double leading off the inning and the injury to Manuel Corpus about the disparity home and road. Well, if you look at the Rockies all time, this has been a year in and year out issue. They've played 1,406 games at home, 1,412 on the road, and the difference in batting average is 75 points. The difference in slugging percentage is 121 points. And we're going to show you, this year, the splits.
You know what I'd like to do sometimes?
And you will see, let me finish my point. You'll see that the numbers this year are pretty much in line with what's happened historically. Look, a 70-point difference in batting average, which is similar to the graphic you just saw. The run differential is considerable, and the slugging percentage again is in line with what's happened historically. 1-1 on Gonzalez. And this is a slow roller to Lee, and he's going to get it to Jurgens in time. Tulowitzki coming up. Let's take a look at another great Colorado Payback sideline report with Alana Rizzo.
Hey guys, I feel like it's been forever since I talked to you the last time. Bobby Cox has been known to get tossed out of games on occasion. In fact, he entered this season with 153 ejections. So his team wanted to make a little bit of fun about that whole situation. So Ross, their catcher, came up with a T-shirt, if you will, that says 153 ... meaning the story continues. You can see the T-shirt there. See how many times Bobby Cox is going to get ejected out of a ball game before he retires. But the best part of the T-shirt for me is on the backside. It shows a picture of Bobby Cox, who's actually behind an umpire who, of course, is tossing him out of the game. The reason Bobby Cox is behind the umpire is because they say that he always backs up. Go ahead. ahead, guys.
Tulowitzki's got a double. You finish your story.
All right, Tulo with the double, nicely done there. And you know, he's always backing up his players, and that's why he's behind the umpire at the time. But he also went on to tell me that, you know what, Bobby Cox doesn't go out and argue a call just because to do it in a game where, let's say, they were losing 10-1. He's not going to go out there and back up his players if they're not playing up to his standards. But he is known for backing his players, knowing for fighting for them, and always a temperamental guy, but one guy that's always going to be there for his team. So they wear the T-shirt during batting practice. Just a little bit of fun in the Braves clubhouse, guys.
Do you know what? He's very honest. And I think in any walk of life, in any business, you appreciate honesty. It might not always be what you want to hear, but he is honest. He's honest with his players. He's honest with certainly with John Sherholtz, who he's worked for a long time. He's honest with the media. He's a good man, very good man. And if you think about the ejections that Alana was talking about, 153, Frage, that's almost a season's worth of games that he didn't get to see the end of.
Exactly, but I think the reason the media probably appreciates Bobby Cox is because, you know what, there's a lot of times managers won't tell you a lot of things. If you're a member of the media, they just kind of back away from you, but the media likes Bobby because Bobby will tell you those things.
This is in the hole, a base hit for Todd Helton. Tulowitzki will stop at third base. Hayward up with the ball quickly. So Todd has a knock, 2 aboard with 1 out for Ian Stewart. Here's our Excel Energy fun fact: career managerial ejections all time.
So I thought Billy Martin might be up there a little bit, but he didn't. Apparently not.
Bobby Cox way ahead of John McGraw. Earl Weaver was famous for his tantrums. Leo DeRocher, similar. They didn't get to 100. Did you know that providing shade around your air conditioning unit can save up to 3% off your cooling costs? For more information on saving money, visit responsiblebynature.com. Stewart popped to center his first time up. There have not been many ball games this year where the Rockies were down by a big number, really at any point.
Well, the pitching's been pretty good. That's like Houston Street made a comment in the paper. Everybody wants to talk about home and road differentials and what's going on. Well, the Rockies pitching staff has pitched better at home.
Well, how about this, George? Over the last 7 ball games, the Rockies starters have a combined .253 ERA, and that encompasses a 2-4 road trip. It's not like they pitched poorly. They just didn't score any runs. 8 runs in 6 games on the road. Until today, the pitching had been great. Obviously, it was not Esmil Rogers' afternoon. Until today, the Rockies had received a quality start in each of their last 7. Bounces up there, 3-2. After today, the Rockies have just 1 more game against an NL East opponent, and that's when Philadelphia comes in next Thursday for that makeup game. Rockies 15-17 against the East this year. And this will get the run home. Stewart's 60th RBI of the year. It's 10-2. Seth Smith hit a long home run his last time up. 16th of the year, new career high for Smith. Takes strike 1. Randy Flores was claimed today by the Minnesota Twins off waivers from the Rockies, so he'll join the Twins for the remainder of the year. Since he was claimed before September 1st, he would be eligible for the postseason roster if Minnesota can hold off the Chicago White Sox.
I think next couple of days you'll find or hear the new home for Brad Hopp. So the search continues by a lot of ball clubs. I'd like to have his services.
2-strike count on Smith. Helton at first, 2 outs. And Jurgen strikes out Smith, final out of the 4th inning. Rockies get a run. Tulowitzki double, Helton singled, fly ball from Ian Stewart. 10-2 the score. Not pretty so far. The Rockies trailing the Braves by a count of 10-2 as we go to the top of the 5th inning. Drew Goodman along with George Frazier and Alana Rizzo. And we have another special guest today, a guy that we're honored to have, Ken Burns, who doesn't need a big introduction, one of the great documentarians of his time. And I say that not to embarrass you, but facts are facts. And,
well, you're very kind. Thank you.
And I know you want to talk about one thing in particular today, and that is the strike you threw to Manuel Corpus on the first pitch today.
You know, I've got a bad back. And whenever the team, and I've been traveling around the country throwing at the first pitch, and whenever the team puts the mascot up, it just throws me off and I throw a terrible pitch. But to come back to form at Coors Field, which is one of my favorite parks, and I threw out last year, you know, tremendously.
There you are.
See?
All right. And Manuel Olivo, not to toot my horn, said
Miguel caught it. Okay,
I mean,
thought
Miguel,
Corpus had caught it.
Yeah. He said that was the best pitch he'd seen all year. So. For the ceremonial first pitch. So now I'm impossible to live with.
You know what? We've seen some bounced up there.
Yeah.
And we've seen some with slightly different form.
Yeah.
So that was excellent. Matt Reynolds induces a pop-up here that I don't think Helton's going to be able to reach. Omar Infante leading off, up for the 4th time. That's never good, Ken. You know baseball as well as anybody. When the leadoff hitter's up for the 4th time in the 5th inning.
In the 5th inning, we're in big trouble. And we're in big trouble, yeah. But who knows? This is the only thing in which time is suspended. As Roger Angel said, it's all about outs.
That's right.
Funny you should bring that up. That is part of my favorite quote in baseball history. And that's how you can stay forever young, is the finish of that great Roger Angel line.
And everywhere I go, it's usually the play-by-play guys who commit that to memory, and it's the thing that distinguishes this game. People forget this has always been and always will be the national pastime. It's the only team sport in which the defense has the ball without a clock, where the man scores, not the ball. That your best guy only comes up once every 9 times about. You can't inbound to Michael Jordan for a 3-pointer every single time. And this and hundreds of other reasons make it just the best game ever. You
know, George and I have talked about this many times. This is another ball in the gap and another Atlanta extra base hit. Hayward will stop at second. He has a triple today. A couple of walks and now a double. He's a bright young prospect that has emerged this year. But Ken, George and I talk about this quite a bit, and we both love football. We both love basketball.
Yep.
And we've done a lot of work in those respective sports. But the thing about baseball is you don't know how it will end. You will see a lot of buzzer beaters in basketball every year, at college level, high school level, NBA level, obviously. We'll see some Hail Marys that actually get answered in the NFL. But in baseball, you never know how that great comeback will unfold.
Right. And you know that if you're down by 3 touchdowns with, you know, a minute and a half in the 4th quarter, or trailing by 20 points in basketball with a couple minutes left, you know you're going to lose. But that's not the case in this sport. And it's funny, it's also about loss, too, because remember, if you fail 7 times out of 10, unacceptable in any other sport, you're a 300 hitter. And you do that for 15, 20 years, or you're in Cooperstown.
Which makes it such a difficult game to play, and I think in certain ways you have to be as mentally tough as any athlete would have to be in any sport. In baseball in particular, because you deal with so much failure.
That's great, and that's why we decided that after saying we were never going to do a sequel to our original 1994 series, we've done this 10th inning, which brings us up to date. We back up to where we left off, 92 World Series. We back up to the NLCS when these same Braves were there with the Pirates, and the Pirates, lost that game on that throw from Barry Bonds that didn't quite make it in, and the Braves were ascendant, and then we just take it on and deal with good stuff, all the amazing action on the field. This is the best we've ever seen this game, and also the bad stuff, the strike and all the issues from that, and of course the steroids era, which I'm happy to say, we're on the backside of it. Used to be a 50 home run season was a rarity. George Foster 77, Cecil Fielder 90, and then all of a sudden everybody was hitting 50 home runs, and now it's a rarity again. We put the genie back in the bottle.
As somebody who loves this game as much as anybody, how do you assess that era when you look at folks, whether it be on the Hill like a Roger Clemens, or folks like Rafael Palmeiro, this ball to center field, and that is the third out. Ken, can you stay with us?
Of course,
you have to answer the question.
to. Yeah,
that'd be great. Ken Burns is our special guest this afternoon. 10-2, Atlanta leading. Bottom of the 5th inning, the Braves leading 10-2. They've out-hit the Rockies 13-4. I want to pass this along while Ken Burns is here. Doug did great research. He's the best at what he does, because the Braves, every one of their starters has an extra base hit, including the pitcher Jair Jurgens. And we got things, that doesn't happen. How often does that happen? You see guys, everybody in the lineup gets a hit.
Yeah.
The last time, it's only happened 5 times since 1952 that all 9 starters have an extra base hit. The last team to do it was the A's a year ago on September 11th. However, the A's had the benefit of a DH. The last time it happened in the National League, 1978, when the Expos did it in Atlanta, Georgia. How about that?
Poetic justice.
Yeah. Anyhow, we were asking you about how you assess some of the great players that's prime was during the performance-enhancing drug era.
This is the only sport in which statistics really matter. That is to say, over time it matters. Quick, name me how many points Wilt Chamberlain. Who knows? But we know how many home runs Henry Aaron hit. So it matters, but they still require stories. If you look up the 1919 World Series, it'll say that the Cincinnati Red Stockings are the champions. You then have to tell a story about that age. It doesn't say asterisk, the White Sox threw it, the famous Black Sox stuff. Same with Bobby Thompson's home run. We now think he may have stolen the sign, and so we knew what Ralph Branca was sending. Do you put an asterisk next to Babe Ruth, who didn't have to play against Satchel Paige or compete with Josh Gibson, all of those sorts of things, because African Americans weren't in the game. So I think we're going to have to tell a story about this, but we can look back and say it just lengthened some pitching careers, and it inflated one thing: home runs. There weren't extra 300 hitters. Nobody hit 406 as Ted Williams did in 41. No one had a 56-game hitting streak. No pitcher had 30 wins or 35 wins or 40 wins, which would have been the comparable pitching accomplishment to 73 home runs. So, and a 300 hitter still means the same thing as it used to do, and I'm saying all the way back to my great-great-grandfather, Abraham Burns, who fought in the Civil War, and there's nothing you can say that about. So I think we're going to have to tell stories about this age, and I think it's going to be a case-by-case basis. You want my opinion? I don't think McGuire and Sosa are going to get in. I think after they torture him a while, Bonds and Clemens will get in because they deserve. They have Hall of Fame statistics even before that happened. But this is going to require us to sit our kids and our grandkids on our knee and say, there was a time. But, the point is that baseball players have always gotten an edge. We've celebrated those spitball players. We've celebrated the guys who were throwing illegal pitches back when they were illegal. This is exponentially greater. And so we don't need to try to equalize it in that way. But we're also, baseball reflects our society. And when we're giving our kids drugs to do better in school, or we're taking drugs to do better in the bedroom, how come we're shocked that our players are going to take something to do better? You know, and while Barry Bonds
it's an interesting point.
Barry Bonds admitted to a grand jury that he inadvertently, he said, and I don't frankly believe him, took steroids. He's actually never tested positive, and he's been tested how many times?
56 times, 56. To my knowledge.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that he didn't do it. I think he did. You know, he's watched McGwire and Sosa in '98. These pumped up guys who, you know, we know have tested positive, and McGwire's admitted it, get all the attention, and he hit 400 home runs, stole 400 bases, and nobody had looked at it. It was relegated to the back of the sports pages. So what does he do? He comes back the next year, and he's suddenly much bigger, and he's got a bigger head size and a bigger shoe size, an adult growing from 10.5 to 13. You know, and then he puts on a show like the likes of which we never seen.
Eric Young Jr. a bullet back through the middle after Matt Reynolds in his first big league plate appearance draws a walk.
Not to draw this out a whole bunch, but I mean, in the same essence, I saw guys that I knew and admitted to it, had been caught with it, that they were great hitters at 5 o'clock.
Yep.
But when it turned 7:05, they hit 220 still. So
yep.
it still had to have that great ability to be able to swing the bat and identify a pitch and hit it 450 feet.
Well, you know, it goes, one of the other things we deal with in the 10th, and we deal with all these stories, and I have to say the real star is the resilience of the game. The sun is shining on the other side of the steroids era. The quality of the play is never better. But the statistic stuff, all the new sabermetrics that say there's no such thing as a clutch hitter, tell that to fans in Boston with David Ortiz.
This is a tweener for Dexter Fowler, and it's going to score a couple of runs. Fowler is headed to third with a triple. And the ball gets away. Here comes Dexter with a Little League home run. And just like that, speaking of no clock in the game of baseball with Ken Burns, it is 10-5.
We're back
and
in
the Rockies are very much in it.
This is the beauty of the game. It ain't over till it's over.
Yeah, it's a great thing. That's all Yogi used to say in New York when I was with the Yankees. It ain't over till it's over, boys.
And he had another great saying, which is, if you don't go to their funeral, they won't go to yours.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right.
So let's not go to the Rockies funeral.
And don't forget that duck really doesn't talk either. Well, you can see why making a little foot chase here with Reynolds coming around to the home plate area. Well, he had to pick it up a step or two, but it's a different ball game. 5 runs separate these two clubs now.
And I'll tell you who is very much aware of that. In his final year,
yes,
the distinguished and wonderful Bobby Cox is sitting on needles right now.
You bet, because he understands what this game will do and can do and does do. Just when you think you put it away, you ease up on the accelerator.
And look at this. This is to the wall.
How many extra base hits do?
Gonzalez with a double.
Oh, and that brings up.
Here comes Tulowitzki with just 1 out in the 5th inning.
Doug, you better do a little research, and you don't get to go anywhere.
I don't get to go anywhere. Something's happening here.
You got that feeling?
I want to, you know what, this leads to, and first of all, before we forget, the 10th inning, which I cannot wait to see.
September 28th and 29th on PBS everywhere.
Okay, so that's when.
Yeah, it's a 2-part, 4-hour thing. It'll be on every PBS station on Tuesday the 28th, Wednesday the 29th of September. I really want you to see it because I think it's as good a thing. It's not just an addition. It's not an afterthought. It's a film in its own right.
I can't imagine the undertaking. How long did the baseball, how many years did you spend on that?
We spent 5 years making the original series, and we've been working on this one over 4 years because it's so hard to, how do you tell 98? Do you do it from our perspective where we're jaded? We now know that Sosa and McGwire were juiced, or do you do it from the enthusiasm we all felt where we loved the game? We wanted them. We stopped by every corner bar and said, did he hit one? You know, that was the enthusiasm, so we wanted to recreate that, but do it with an eye towards some of the evidence we had, because we're all complicit.
Gonzalez takes off, and he got hung up. That's a no-no.
Well, just trying to get the timing, too, and he timed it the wrong way, obviously.
Yep.
That is not good.
That's a rally killer. That
is the potential 6th run with your cleanup hitter Tulowitzki at the plate. Goes as a caught stealing.
Yeah, took a little bit.
1-5-4.
A little bit of a gamble here. Dragins looks off, sees them yell at him, then a quick toss over, and then over to second base, and able to retire him pretty easy.
The 2 outs and Tulowitzki at the plate.
You know, sign of the same people. You know, you stopped talking about going by the bar. Did he hit one? Did he not hit one? And I did 70. I did Barry Bonds' 70th home run game in Houston. And everybody couldn't wait to see it happen. I really think Sammy Sosa and McGuire saved the game after the strike.
I did. I think it started with Ripken, and we detailed that with the Ironman that year. And then I think the Braves and their exciting thing, and Torrey taming the Bronx Zoo. But
how big is your team in terms of?
It's small. These are handmade. We have credits that run with hundreds of people who deserve thanks. But when you get down to it, for a film like this, it's about 5 or 6 people. Myself, the co-director and co-producer Lynn Novick, my son-in-law who wrote the script principally, and then an editor and his assistant. And we work and shape and rework and recut and rewrite the whole time. It's not a, it's not a widget. You don't stamp these things out. So we're very proud of it, and I think the thing that we're trying to say is that while we do deal with the strike and its unintended positive consequences, there's been labor peace since it. We've also, and the steroids issue, we also deal with all the stuff. The Atlanta Braves and the trio of pitchers, Glavine and Maddox and Smoltz, Joe Torre, the rise of Latin players and Asian players, 9/11 and how it brought the country back together, the Red Sox incredible comeback after the 2003 ALCS torture of Aaron Boone's home run. All of these things remind us of what a great game it is.
Can you stick another half inning, Ken, and then we'll let you enjoy the hot
it's
dog
my
out of the ballpark?
Thank you.
Ken Burns is with us. The Rockies have rallied for 3. Don't go away. 10-5 through 5 innings of play. The Rockies trying to make it interesting. Dexter Fowler a 2-run triple, and then on an errant throw came home last inning. Derek Lee at the plate against Matt Reynolds, and you can see a little different bounce in the step of the guys out in the field as the Rockies have cut an enormous deficit to 5 as we go to the top of the 6th inning, and this is fouled off. Along with George Frazier and Alana Rizzo, I'm Drew Goodman. Ken Burns, the documentarian, has joined us as he travels the country to promote what I cannot wait to see, and any baseball fan needs to see, the next step, which is the 10th inning. And again, late September on PBS is when it will debut. 28th and 29th.
28th and 29th, yeah. You know, it's funny, we were talking about statistics, and the sabermetrics folks will tell you there's no such thing as a clutch hitter, and you can't tell that to Boston fans with
no.
David Ortiz. And the one thing that the old guys, the Bobby Coxes knew, is that character is a huge and unquantifiable stuff. That Derek Jeter is going to go into the stands or end up on the wrong side of the first base line to take an errant throw from the right fielder to throw out a walking, standing up Jeremy Giambi, to make one of the most incredible plays, or a Mark Burley with the first game of the season and his amazing defensive stuff. That's not stuff you can scout for. No statistic accounts for it, and that's the unknown quantity in this sport, which I think is just what it's all about.
There's something also about baseball because of the pace of the game. It lends itself to conversations, and I think for me, my favorite film was Field of Dreams, because I think every kid, no matter how far they take baseball, and we see so many young ladies playing the game now, whether it's softball or even in Little League, they played catch. And to me, it's part of the fabric of our country, whether they go on and play in high school or fortunate enough to play where George did, where we're watching guys play. To me, that's the essence of the game and why it's such a large part of Americana.
You know, it's true. When you see, and we do, let's admit, we love the other sports, they're great, but when you describe a football game, you just say Joe Montana passed to Jerry Rice and we won, or they inbounded to Michael Jordan and he hit the three-pointer at the buzzer and we won. But all baseball stories begin, my dad or my mom took me to this game, or my grandpa, or I took my kids. And so it's very much who you see the game with. And then you describe Mickey Mantle hit the home run, or I watched David Ortiz hit a walk-off, or Troy Tulowitzki hit an inside-the-park home run, and we came from behind and won. You know, these are the things, but it's all the experience of who you saw the game with.
Right, and I think that's one thing. As a former player, I love the history of the game. I love to sit down when I first came to the big leagues with Hank Aaron, and I'd go grab a Bob Gibson. But I can remember growing up in Missouri, and we'd all be mowing the yard. It's 20 acres, and we're working in the gardens, and all of a sudden the bell rang at 12:45 because it was Game of the World. It's 1 o'clock. The game of the week. There's only game you're going to see on TV. And everything stopped at the house.
Everything stopped, yeah.
And you sat down and watched the game with your dad and described it to you and watched it and listened to the guys tell you about it.
This is what we're talking about before. When you stop and you ask a guy who claims that football's the national pastime now, you just say, okay, tell me how many yards Walter Payton has, right? How many yards did Tom Brady throw for? And nobody can answer that because the statistics don't matter. But anybody, the casual fan, can tell you what 714 is and 755 and 762 or 406 or 56 game. You know, all of that is stuff that we have.
That guy's pretty good at short, by the way.
He made it look easy, short hopping.
How far in advance? I mean, do you already, as you unveil 10th inning, do you have another project in the works?
I'm working on 5.
That's all?
Yeah, and I'm crazy to do that. We have finished editing and are in the post-production of a 3-part series on the history of Prohibition next year. We've been working on that for several years. We've got a history of the Dust Bowl that brings us back to Colorado. We're doing one on the history of the Roosevelts, Theodore Franklin and Eleanor. Believe it or not, nobody in a film has put their lives all together, and they were all born with the last name Roosevelt. We're doing a history of Vietnam, too. And we're doing one on the Central Park jogger. Remember that case,
yes,
that horrible case?
Absolutely.
Well, those 5 black and Hispanic boys that were charged, convicted, served their complete terms, didn't do it. And the story of the crime was page A1. The story of their vacating of their convictions well after they'd gotten out of jail and served their terms was, page D23. And that's an interesting aspect of American life. So we got a wide variety. And God willing, 10, 15 years from now, we'll be back in the booth talking about the 11th inning. And I know exactly where it'll start. Armando Galarraga's perfect game. Right?
Right.
One of the greatest moments in the history of it. And we're going to remember Armando Galarraga and Jim Joyce long after we forgot about Dallas Braden and Roy Halladay and their perfect games within that same month-long period.
That was, one of the defining moments of the first 4 months of this season. And a great example, obviously, of sportsmanship. You know what? We've hogged your time. You've been wonderful, Ken.
It's great. It's great to be with you.
You're
Good luck. I think they're coming back. We put 3, some zeros up there.
You're a national treasure. 10th inning, September 28th and 29th on PBS. Continued success. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me know what you think.
10-5 Atlanta. Again, our thanks to the incomparable Ken Burns. What a fascinating man he is. 10th inning coming up September 28th and 29th on PBS. Any baseball fan, any sports fan, anybody that enjoys American history needs to check that out. 1-0 on Todd Helton. How special will this day perhaps become? Rockies were down 10-1. It's now 10-5.
Yeah, you were talking about home road disparity quite a while ago before Ken came in, so obviously we loved having him in the booth. I just had Doug run a deal for me. I said, what is the average among National League ball clubs? What's the average differential? Because, you're going to hit better in your own house. You're there 81 days. And a little more comfortable to the batter's eye and a lot of other things. I found it interesting.
This ball from Helton is hit to deep center field. Nobody's going to catch this one. It's off the base of the wall, and it kicks far from Mankiel. Helton is headed to third base. That's a long run for the recently turned 37-year-old Todd Helton.
Well, one of the deepest parts of this ballpark in right center field, right out in front of that bullpen of the Atlanta Braves. Hyundai Cam, you're going to see it triple for Todd Helton. On a ball that got out in the middle of the plate, just a few feet shy of getting out of this yard. When it hit out in the right center field, it hit down towards the bottom and it just ricocheted. And Mankiel goes to grab the ball, bent over and forgot it. Left it in center field, and Helton was on his way to third base, gets a triple. We're going to get to this home road thing in a minute. The Rockies are going to pick off a run right here.
Stewart at the plate, sac fly as last time up. That's inside. I know one play on the offensive side that the Rockies would love to have back, and that was the caught stealing from Carlos Gonzalez last inning. Just got a little antsy. The hit's 13-8 favoring the Braves. Nobody out. Good eye from Stewart. Infield conceding the run. Last triple, by the way, for Helton, August 11th of last year against the Pirates. That was a pitch to drive, fouled straight back. 2-2. I say it frequently as Stewart takes a breath. This is where he needs to shorten up, get this thing in play, and get that 6th run home. Smith on deck. 3-2. Out number 1. And that'll bring up Smith. Let's check in quickly with Alana Rizzo. Alana?
All right, guys, thanks very much. Earlier, Matt Belisle was working in the bullpen, warming up. And, you know, he may have to come into this ball game at some point just to continue to add to the workload that Belisle has had. And yesterday, you and George were talking about the fact that he hasn't skipped a beat in terms of velocity with his pitches. So I asked him about that today in terms of what he's done to keep that up. He said, I really haven't changed much. That's what has helped me. It's the consistency of the program that I have with Brian Jordan, the strength and conditioning coach here for the Colorado Rockies. He said, one day it's an upper body program, the next day lower body. Guys, here we go again.
Yeah, this is over the head of Hayward. Smith's got to gallop to get the second as Hayward got to it quickly. It's a run-scoring double. It is 10-6.
Smitty with another RBI, 48 now. Bottom of the order did a lot of damage today for the Rockies. Yeah, Bobby Cox going, you know what? Call him timeout right now. Flaherty's been warming up down in the bullpen. See if he'll be the guy that comes in. Shot to right field. Looked like Hayward might have a beat on this ball as he got out close to the wall. Then he just kind of overran the ball. Then didn't have a good shot at it to throw back in. Smith safe. Helton safe.
Jurgen's done. He goes 5 1/3. Responsible for Smith at second. He's given up 6 runs. Peter Moylan will be next. Well, Jair Jurgens was cruising along, and he has hit a rough patch the last couple of innings, and now he'll watch. With 1 out and Smith in scoring position, Peter Moylan, who's been very busy this year, his 66th appearance upcoming.
Well, you see, though, he comes in a lot of times just in this situation to face a couple of right-handed guys to try to work his way out of it. Spielborgs is in the on-deck circle to pinch hit because there's only one lefty in the Rockies bench today, and that'd be Giambi and, Johnny Herrera, switch hitter. So Spielborg's being asked to come out because of that ability to swing the bat one time and put some big runs on the board. Spilly will get that shot to do it.
Boy, Iannetta all geared up to swing, almost caught one under the armpit. Side armor, Peter Moylan on. It's fouled off. Moylan missed almost all of 2008 when he had Tommy John surgery. Appeared in just 7 games that year. Talk about coming back strong. Last year, he made 87 appearances. Had a 2.84 ERA. 31-year-old from Australia. An RBI out there for Iannetta. A lot of room in the left center field gap. Now Iannetta's average may be just a little over 200. He's had a penchant in his still young career for coming up with a big hit. Smith just doubled in help. Todd tripled. Good eye, 3-2. As George mentioned, Spilborgh's on deck. Outside, ball 4.
Well, Moylan really struggled in July and earned run average up around 7 coming out of their bullpen. Right now, Bobby Cox won't fool around with it. O'Flaherty's loose and he's ready to go. The left-hander down in their bullpen. How about the job Matt Reynolds did? 3 innings, 1 hit, finally gave up a big league hit. He walked 1, hit 1, struck out 3.
Did a marvelous job. He's kept the Rockies in this ball game. And normally looked upon as more of a situational left-hander. He was working middle relief. Spilborgh's outside. Lefties hit Moylan at 310. Righties, not surprisingly, against the side armor, just 236. Moylan trying to induce a ground ball. He's got to force all the way around. Smith and Iannetta aboard. 1 out. 2-0. Take a look at the Amica hit zone on Spilborgh's. Amica, it's not how you're covered, it's how you're treated.
Well, obviously cheating a little bit on that inside fastball and doing a lot with it too. They're trying to look for here. By the way, Moylan's inherited more runners than anybody else in the Atlanta bullpen. He's inherited 54 of them and only 18 have scored.
2-0. Little tilt in that swing, and that pitch was up where Spilborgh's could drive it. Watching the Atlanta Braves outfield, George, on every hitter in the outfield, they swing around to the opposite gap. I mean, Melky Cabrera is 70 yards from the left field line.
Yeah, Bobby Wine was here, followed the ball club for 6 days as he came into advanced scout. Longtime coach for Bobby Cox, knows what Cox likes to have in his reports, and a lot of it is to set the defense because they do a great job of pitching to the defense. Atlanta, pretty good job with runners in scoring position today. 6 for 17. The Rockies 3 for 5.
2-2. That's a good piece of hitting right there by Spilborgh's. That's a pretty well located fastball at 92. Let's take a look at today's Quest high speed pitch. Jurgens at 94, Matt Reynolds at 92. It's brought to you by Quest, the high speed internet provider of the Colorado Rockies. And this ball is drilled to deep center field. And Acua's not going to catch it all the way to the wall. Iannetta around third. He's going to score. 2-run double Spilborgh's. It is 10-8. Ryan Spilborgh's, that is a tremendous at bat.
Bobby Cox going to have to make some double switches now. This game's gotten real interesting for him, and Spilborgh's did it with this line drive double, center cut fastball out into left center field to make this a 2-run ball game. Hyundai Cam, after fouling off about 7-8 pitches and nasty pitches from Moylan, he's able to come through with this base hit, drive it out into left center field, and it's off to the races. Iannetta scored the 8th run of the ball game. after the relay system did not work for the Atlanta Braves. Cabrera comes out of left field. Diaz will go into left field in a double switch.
Short while ago, it was 10-1 Atlanta. It looked like one of those days that happens in the midst of a long summer. It is now 10-8, and because the Rockies have scored 7 or more, don't forget to go to your participating Colorado Taco Bell locations tomorrow between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies Taco Special. Dexter Fowler on deck, but first Eric Young Jr. Couple of switch hitters, and Eric O'Flaherty is on the mound. EY 3 hits yesterday. He's 2 for 3 in this ball game. Spielborg's at second, and this is fouled back.
Flaherty's pitched in both ball games so far in the series, yet to give up a run. A couple of hits in those 2 innings of work. He struck out a couple.
EY drives it to deep left field. Disco chase to get out. It's foul. Wow.
Hit off of that wall down there, about 2 feet shy of getting out of the ballpark as far as height was concerned, but only about a foot in the foul territory. He got an inside slider that he just dropped the head of the bat on, and it ends up just not enough air, and then unfortunately hooked just enough that it was barely foul.
Yeah, maybe 2 feet at most. Foul. Wow. That'd have been something for your first home run of the year for EY. 1 and 2. Eric O'Flaherty looked off, that familiar pitcher's look of disgust when he thought he had strike 3. Triple, double, walk, double. Rockies down just 2. Spielborg's with 1 out at second. Another National League game going on. The Reds, interestingly, leading the Giants at AT&T 10-1 after the Giants beat them up yesterday. What's going on in San Francisco? All those
flying,
runs,
isn't it? Huh? Yeah, ball getting out of the yard in a hurry. Well, Jocketty called some scouts here and said, man, he had never seen it this hot during the day in San Francisco yesterday, and he's the general manager of the Cincinnati Reds.
1-2. Good job by EY. Boy, momentum, even though it's one individual up there, momentum is an amazing thing in this game. Rockies down 10-1 after 3.
Looking very similar to the at-bat that Spielborg's had.
Yeah, I mean, that was not just the result of Spielborg's at-bat, a 400-foot double to drive in 2. It was the length of it, fouling off some tough pitches from Moylan. Two and 2. 93-mile-an-hour fastball missed its mark. Kyle Farnsworth. And this ball is hit in the air to left center field. Long run for Ankiel. He'll get there. He was swung over in right center. And that is the second out. And that'll bring up Dexter Fowler, who may be the perfect man for this spot. The reason I say that, since July 1st, Dexter leads the Rockies with a .387 batting average with runners in scoring position. And he's slugging .742 since July 1st with runners in scoring position. And his last time up, he had a 2-run triple and would score on the play when the throw from left fielder Melky Cabrera was offline. 2 outs, Spilborgh's at second. This is Dexter's natural side. And he has occasional pop on this side, just like on the left side. I mean, that's not his game, hitting the ball over the wall, but you'll see every once in a while he'll run into one and it'll be a no-doubter. In this situation, Rockies will take a single. Bottom of the 6th inning. 10-8. Down the right field line. If it's fair, it could be a problem. It is a foul ball. That is the second time in the last 2 at-bats, one for Young and one for Fowler, that the Rockies thought they had at least a run. How much is this one fouled by?
A couple of feet.
Yeah, 2 feet on one side of the line, 2 feet on the other.
Well, you know, that's what happens. You get that right side, you got a pretty good fastball. You're going to have that spin on the ball. I mean, you really got to scald it more on the line to keep it in fair territory.
One and two.
You see why Flaherty getting a little disappointed maybe in Ed Rapuano. He's had a couple of breaking balls that felt like they were in the strike zone. This one catches the outside corners, but it's the problem is it wrapped around it from the outside.
Here's the 2-2. 3-2. Gonzalez is on deck. Dex saw that well out of the hand. He was on it.
So that man right there didn't anticipate seeing this thing turn around the way it has for the Rockies. You believe your club can do it, but to put up those kind of numbers against the guy that started against you.
Ball 4. The go-ahead run is now going to come up in Carlos Gonzalez. You know, when you dream and you're sitting there as a manager and you're looking at a 9-run deficit, you hope, all right, if we can chip away, maybe in the 9th inning, if all goes really, really well, we may have a chance to get the tying run to the plate. The Rockies have the go-ahead run now at the plate in the 6th inning.
Things changed quickly, didn't it? It all did with some bad pitches made, some good hitting made. And let's not forget, and I bring this up because Matt Reynolds kept things in order and didn't allow this thing to even get further out of contention. 3 innings of hit and no runs.
I'll tell you a little bit more information about this particular matchup. O'Flaherty in the 7th inning faced Carlos Gonzalez, and he roped a double off him to center field.
Kind of his guy as a left-hander, over the top, a pretty straight fastball, 90, 95 miles an hour with a breaking ball.
And this year, Gonzalez hitting .313 left on left. Here we go. Ground ball, foul. They're playing him in the infield, George, to pull, in the outfield.
Yeah, they're pretty straight away in the outfield.
Pretty much straight up, though Hayward's a long way off that right field line. And that's where Gonzalez doubled his last time up. Boy, he was on that one. 0-2. And now you have to contend with the slider from O'Flaherty.
Would not be surprised to see it 3, maybe 4 times in a row and just take it off the plate and try to induce the swing. A lot of times, guys, in this situation against guys like Gonzalez, they'll try to overthrow it. That was filthy.
He threw the slider and it ate up the black, or the fastball, excuse me, and ate up the black. Rockies get 3 more, 10-8. Back at Coors Field, the Rockies within 2 as we go to the 7th inning. Jim Tracy is good enough to join us in the dugout. Skip, you've managed a lot of games. When you're down 9 runs, you hope, all right, you whittle away, and you hope maybe late, real late, you have a chance perhaps to tie it. 6th inning, you have the go-ahead run at the plate.
Yes, we did, Drew. You know, something that's what I've loved about this ball club going back to last year is the fact that they don't quit, Drew. And obviously we're a little bit shorthanded today from a pitching standpoint. You know, after Manny had to leave with the elbow issue, a terrific job by the young kid Reynolds. You obviously are aware of the fact if you're going to get back in the manner in which we're in it now with 3 innings to go, you need stops, and that's exactly what that young kid did for us. And we've stayed patient. We haven't tried to do too much too quickly with the bats, and we've chipped away and gotten ourselves back into the game.
Trace, thanks as always. I know the next couple are going to be very interesting.
Thanks, Drew.
All right, Jim Tracy downstairs. And right now it's a 1-1 count. Joe Beimel working to Rick Ankiel, and he gets a pop-up. Maybe in foul ground. Long run to Tulowitzki, and he gets there. Shortstop always, George, has the best angle to a ball in that neighborhood.
Absolutely they do. They can take the angle out a little wider and see it and get a better read on it than what Ian Stewart can do looking over the shoulder. Nice play, Tulowitzki. On a double switch, Diaz is going to come up. You're going to get one more look here. See Stewart go over and they get called off by Tulowitzki. You know, Bobby Cox recognizing too that Beimel's the last left-hander in the Rockies bullpen. He left everything kind of stand pat in that position for it, and I think that's a smart thing.
How about the work of Reynolds?
I mentioned a couple of times he's really kind of the hero of the ball game right now. 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs. He walked a guy, struck out 3, and hit a batter. Pretty good day at the yard. Still want to sit around and enjoy this even a little bit more.
Just a tremendous job from Matt Reynolds. 2-strike count on Matt Diaz. And this is in the air to shallow right, coming on and making the catch. Here's Seth Smith, 2 outs. And that'll bring up Omar Infante, representing the top of the Atlanta lineup. Infante, a 2-run home run back in the 3rd inning. Extend his hitting streak to 14. Bible pops off the mound, a quick 1-2-3 inning. Exactly what you want after a 3-run rally in the 6th. Colorado putting the heat on the Braves. Time for our Coors Light freeze cam. Seth Smith, that is squaring it up earlier in the ball game. His 2nd home run in as many days. His 16th of the year, a new career high. The Rockies down at one point 10-1. They're within 10-8 now. Ken Burns just dropped by again. He's throwing Cracker Jacks out the window. Good deal. It is a full day at Coors Field. We know you've been entertained, and something tells me there's more to come. Johnny Venters is now on the bump for the Atlanta Braves. It'll be his 60th appearance. This is one of the toughest left-handers in baseball. He throws extremely hard, and he's got a high 80s slider. Rocky saw him 2 nights ago.
They've been
Tulowitzki, Helton, and Stewart.
One of those guys that quickly putting some headlines up among a number of people in baseball. You know what's really cool, Drew? I'm really happy about this. They got my Rocky Mountain raffle. They brought it down to us.
Yeah, we got them now.
Yeah, fill this thing out. Let's see. You're going to buy the 10-pack, right? See, here it is. You're going to buy the 10-pack. Don't touch mine. You have your own.
I have my own. I'm showing it to people.
No, you won't give it back. You'll keep it. It's kind of cool. But all you got to do is fill up on the back side and then do everything you want to do back here. Fill in your name, put in the credit cards. You got different packages you can buy. See, I think, yeah, the 10-pack thing, that's good.
And again, you can win $1 million cash or a downtown home, and it all goes to a great cause of Boys and Girls Clubs of not only of all of Colorado. The money will be spread out throughout the state. 1-2 on Tulowitzki. Troy a double in the 4th inning.
Here, look at the view you get out of that house if you win it. Pretty nice, huh?
That's a
you get
pretty
scared
view.
of heights, though.
In 2-2. Rockies got a run in the 4th inning, 3 in the 5th, 3 in the 6th. And a ground ball to short. Gonzalez stayed with a tough hop.
You know, when a guy throws hard and you square it up on the ground, that ball's coming at you pretty quick. I guarantee that ball was probably traveling 90, 95 miles an hour when it got out to Gonzalez.
Todd's had another big ball game, a single and a triple of all things in his last at bat off the base of the center field wall. Since coming off the disabled list, he has been a different guy.
Well, this was in the 6th inning that he got a fastball. He just smoked out into right center field. One of the deepest parts. And remember the other night, that double impressive, triple, but remember the other night, Vitters was the guy that threw it at him. Knocked him down, and he got right back up, and 2 pitches later got a base hit single up the middle to win the ball game 5-4.
That misses 2-1.
Nice.
Game-winning hit for Helton against Venters on Monday night. Slider. Yeah, that's what makes it a real difficult assignment. 2-1. You know, Helton's got to sit on that fastball when it's 96, 97, and he breaks off an 85-mile-an-hour slider. And another one for the strikeout. 0 for 2 and a sac fly back in the 4th inning. And is that going to stay fair? Oh, man.
Got to know once it started to get that little spin to it and the roll down at the very end, it's going to tilt and just get off in the foul territory. Not a bad idea. Everybody playing back, couple of outs, get on base, and one of the hot hitters you got sitting in the on-deck circle, Seth Smith, with a home run and a double today. Nasty left-hander on the mound.
One and one on Stewart. Two and one. Inside at 96. Man, he's got a great arm. 3 balls and a strike. Smith on deck if Stewart can reach. And this ball's hit pretty well to center field, but Manquillo will be there. A 1-2-3 7th for Venters. We'll go to the 8th inning. It remains 10-8 Braves. for the Cooney Lexus look back. Rockies were down 10-1. Seth Smith hit a solo home run, his 16th. We're just going to look at the Rocky side of the offense. Dexter Fowler unloads to the gap in left center field. 2 runs would score, and then the ball would get away. Dexter would come around. And there's Smith again, an RBI double after Todd Helton had tripled. And then the 2-run double from Ryan Spilborgh's pinch hitting. You're up to date. The Rockies within 10-8. Joe Beimel's second inning of work. Jason Hayward at the plate. It's 1-0 on Hayward. Unlike so many lefties, Hayward stands a little bit off the plate. That look back brought to you by Cooney Lexus, where luxury has an address. I was there earlier in the day, in fact, early this morning, over on Broadway in Littleton. Here's the 1-1, shattered bat, and Eric Young Jr.
4 outs, 10 pitches right now by Joe Beimel. That's what's really helped this situation out with the bullpen right now. They've got Matt Belisle throwing down in the bullpen.
Bobby's about to get somebody else up, because we were wondering, with Smith leading off, would Venters continue? Farnsworth's getting up right now.
He's 4 hitters away right now.
If you want to have him go 2 innings, have him go multiple innings. Short. And Tulowitzki throws out Prado, 2 outs.
Yeah, the Braves off tomorrow also. A ball game, so they'll play to their.
Well, if he does go more than an inning, it's not the first time this year, because Venters coming in had made 59 appearances and he'd thrown 64 2/3. Brian McCann 3 for 4. Oh, and 2. One and 2. Rockies in the 8th inning will have Seth Smith, Chris Iannetta, and a pinch hitter for Joe Beimel. Melvin Mora available on the right side. Giambi at some point is going to come into play. It may be in that spot. We'll see. Another area the manager has to plot and plan in a tight ball game. When he has a piece like Giambi, you're holding back, and there's only a couple places where you may insert him. 3 and 2. Beimel wants to get the left-handed hitting McCann. You have Derek Lee on deck. Three, 4, and 3. That's the run scored in the first 3 innings for Atlanta, but a bunch of zeros since the 3rd. And a line drive, base hit to center field. A 4-hit ball game for McCann. And now Derek Lee.
If you try to run it strictly by the numbers, and again, a lot of this history you can't take into effect because Matt Belisle's not the same Matt Belisle he was 3 or 4 years ago. Because if that was the case, you would not bring him in to face Derek Lee, who's 4 for 9 with a couple of home runs. Well, where he's 0 for 4 against Beimel. But this is a different animal that you're bringing into the game now.
Yeah, you're going to force Jim Tracy to double switch. He's going to bring Mora in. Stewart, who made the last out, will come out of the ball game. And that buys room for Belisle, obviously, to work beyond getting the final out here in the top of the 8th. 10-8. Joe Beimel goes an inning and 2/3. 10-8. The Rockies trailing the Braves. 2 outs in the 8th inning. Brian McCann with his 4th knock of the day, standing next to Todd Helton at first. Derek Lee at the plate. A couple of RBIs earlier in the ball game for Lee. He's facing Matt Belisle. Strike 1.
And I mentioned those career numbers, and again, I can't emphasize enough, throw that stuff out the window. It's just not the same animal Matt Belisle was a couple of years ago. A lot better. You can see the numbers here overall. Belisle's got a lot down here. Calling timeout.
Lee earlier driving in the 1,000th run of his career. And he hits it in the air to right field, deep but playable. Smith makes the catch. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Rockies trailing by just 2 runs after trailing by 9 early. Today's game summary is brought to you by Ecotech Institute in Denver, where you can make the world your workplace. Didn't start out well for the Rockies, but it may finish quite nicely. Down 10-1 after 3, the Rockies scored 7 runs between the 4th and 6th innings to make it 10-8, and they have 6 outs to work with offensively. Seth Smith takes strike 1. Johnny Venters remains in the ball game. This may be his last hitter. You have Iannetta and Mora to follow, and Farnsworth has been throwing. We'll see. That's in there also. Here's the 1-2, strike 3. Smith knew it. I mean, not much you can do about that. That's pretty dirty.
Okay, it is dirty. It is filthy because of what he has the ability to put a big bend with the velocity at 85. But then, you know, it's like the fastball he throws just locks up at 96, 97 miles an hour. See, I didn't know that they'd make this switch. He gets right-handers out pretty good because he has overpowering stuff. I mean, that's just nasty. 97 miles an hour. Whenever I hear Billy Wagner make the comment, his stuff is nastier than mine, and Wagner's throwing 100, I guess they know where they're going to go for a closer next year.
Well, Billy Wagner's going to retire. Billy Wagner planning on handling the 9th inning here, depending on what happens in the 8th. Two balls and a strike on Iannetta. Mora on deck. Venters out of Pikesville, Kentucky. Righties actually hitting less than lefties against him. 174 versus 194.
Only 1 home run given up, and that was to a left-hander. How about that? 103 earned run average in Atlanta, 152 out on the road.
Stays 2-2 on Iannetta. And now it runs full, 3-2. Ball 4. The tying run will come up in Melvin Mora. Our Breaks Plus poll results. Have you ever called in with a phony ailment to go to the ball game? 74%. You're very honest. Absolutely. And there are a couple of guys right now. Maybe they just own the business. Mora at the plate against Venters, and though he's done it this year, George, no question about his stuff, but now he's nearing the 30 pitch mark.
Well, again, that off day tomorrow.
This is back up the middle for a base hit. It's not about the off day. My point is that effectiveness, if he is sharp after throwing 20, 25, close to 30 pitches.
Stuff tells me yes. I mean, he's 95, 97 still. The slider's still pretty good. He was upset over the fact that Iannetta walked on what he thought was a pretty good slider back to back. He just got elevated with this fastball, and Mel Mora, very good high ball fastball hitter, just took the ball back up the middle. Once again, the Rockies have the winning run sitting at home plate.
Eric Young Jr. really swinging the bat well. He had a battle in the 6th inning with Eric O'Flaherty. Nearly hit a home run, just fouled by a couple of feet, and then flied to center eventually. He's got 2 knocks today. He had 3 yesterday. Ground ball to the right side. Low throw on the bag still was the shortstop Gonzalez.
Yeah, them
bad feed from Infante.
Bad plays like that can end up costing you a ball game. I mean, again, Infante makes just a horrible feed to Gonzalez, and if it wasn't for Gonzalez's athleticism, that ball's in right field, excuse me, left field, and you're watching a merry-go go pretty quick around these bases. I mean, look at this ball. A couple of hops here. He gets rid of it in a hurry because he knows EY's running, but it's from the right side. Man, oh man. Talk about saving one. He did scrape the back side of that bag. He sure did. So watch on the Hyundai cam, you're going to see when he goes to pick this ball, his foot came right out over the top of the bag. That reported the second out. Now you got Dexter Fowler up, speed again with speed at first.
Good call by Ron Kolpa, the second base umpire.
Yeah, right now, if you're McDowell, you just go out and say, you know what? Give me your best shot. I want you to go right at Dexter Fowler. I want the punch out. You know, do the best you can or get this young guy fired up to get this last out. He went 2 innings. July 27th, Venters did. He threw 41 pitches in those 2 innings of work.
Two on, 2 outs. Fowler at the plate against Venters. Ball 1. Dexter 1 for 3, a 2-run triple in the 5th, also a walk. Two and 0. And now he's thrown 31 pitches, and it's almost a 50-50 split. He's missed the strike zone 14 times. This kid started the year in AAA and was called up early on, 3rd week of April. 3 balls, no strikes. Checked it out with Tom Hallion. Well, clearly he held up.
It's his 8th inning. I mean, I haven't seen anybody down there firing just yet. Farnsworth was up earlier.
Well, he's going to go at least one more hitter because Gonzalez is up next.
Yeah, unless he brought Billy Wagner, got him loose, but I haven't seen him throw yet.
Ball 4. The bases are loaded for Carlos Gonzalez. In his last at bat, he faced a lefty in Eric O'Flaherty, and he had 2 great hacks. One pitch I'm sure he'd like back. A ball he was on but missed by a smidgen. A fastball out over the plate, and then O'Flaherty painted one on him for the strikeout. Bases loaded with 2 outs. Venters against one of the best hitters this year in the National League, Carlos Gonzalez. Crowd abuzz. Strike one.
This is one area of the game of baseball that Gonzalez has struggled. But again, you got to remember, a lot of times he's facing a Venters. He's facing a Billy Wagner trying to get out. He's 1 for 8 with the bases loaded this season, hitting 125.
He's not struggling anymore. A 9-run deficit completely wiped out.
Fastball away from him, but elevated this time and didn't try to do a whole lot. Just make solid contact right back up the middle. And how big was the poor throw? Their second baseman on the double play ball now with Infante. That dugout pumped up. They're thinking earlier, do you have a chance at all? Tommy Runnels coaching a little bit of third and sending them home. Bobby Cox, again, having to make some moves he probably didn't think he'd have to. Hinske will go to first base. He'll go to the mound and get the young lefty and bring in appears to be Kyle Farnsworth.
Whole new day at the ball yard. That is one special young player, 24-year-old Carlos Gonzalez, against one of the nastiest left-handers in the game. He lines a single to center to tie up this baseball game. Now it's the veteran Kyle Farnsworth. Troy Tulowitzki in the bottom of the 8th has a chance to give the Rockies the lead.
A very hard-throwing right-hander, so it matches up well. Tulowitzki, a very good fastball guy, and he struggled since he came over to the Atlanta Braves with a .945 earned run average. Tulowitzki's only faced him one time in his career.
Dexter Fowler at third. Gonzalez obviously at first. High, ball one. And the crowd with the Tulo chant that became so fashionable late in 2007. All Rockies fans hoping that Colorado has another 07 run in them. 5 games back in the wild card. Beginning play today. Here's the 1-0. Ground ball toward the hole. Base hit. Rockies take the lead. 11-10 Colorado.
And the 27,675 that showed up for today's game, they haven't left. They've stuck around to see if it could happen, and it's happened. The Rockies ahead by 1, 11-10, the bottom of the 8th inning. Wow. Got on top of a high sinker on the out of the zone, and then at third base just not able to make the play at all. Pareto lets this ball get to the left side and in through the infield, and Dexter comes in to score. Tulowitzki with a fist pump, and that bullpen on that dugout excited for what they have experienced here today. Giambi out in the on-deck circle. He'll hit in the pitcher spot.
Helton at the plate. Takes one on the outside corner. And Houston Street, who has saved the last 3, was petitioning earlier this afternoon, actually earlier this morning, petitioning his manager that he was okay and ready to go in the 9th inning if needed today. He's not up. Matt Belisle got the final out of the 8th inning. It looks like we'll handle the 9th. And Houston Street clearly is not going to be involved. He's got the warm-up jacket on. 1-1 on Helton. Todd's had a nice ball game. Single and a triple in 4 at-bats. 11-10 Colorado. Todd with a base hit. Here comes Cargo to the house. The ball's dropped by Ankiel. Tulowitzki will move to third. It is 12-10. Delirium in Ludo.
Bobby Cox not having fond memories of this ballpark again. Sinker down and away. Helton goes and gets this pitch well. Just tries to take it right back up the middle and drive in the run. It's just what Todd Helton has done. His 24th run driven in this year to give the Rockies a 2-run lead. Matt Belisle will come up and swing the bat.
I think only because of that RBI, or maybe not. Even with the 1-run lead, you would have gone with Belisle.
Well, I mean, when you don't have anybody
nobody else is getting up.
Well, there's 2 outs. He's not going to get loose in 8 or 9 pitches and risk bringing him into a game that quickly on it. So Belisle was going to be your guy. Giambi was up as a decoy to Bobby Cox more than anything else.
But again, Bobby's looking at the same thing we are with nobody in the bullpen.
Absolutely. Well, you know those bushes out there in front of that mound out there? Those were put up by Bob Gebhardt so the opposing manager couldn't see who was warming up in the Rockies bullpen. A little history of the ballpark a lot of people didn't know about.
0-1 on Belisle. Farnsworth can still dial it up as hard as just about anybody in the game. That last fastball missed at 98. 1-1. Belisle, a very good athlete, doesn't get to swing the bat much anymore, but that's the second strike. 1-2. His third RBI sitting at third base, Tulowitzki. Strike 3. So Matt Belisle gone. The Rockies rally for 4 in the 8th. 12-10. They carry a lead to the 9th. Do you believe? Well, the Rockies in a sweep looked rather improbable after 3 innings when Colorado trailed 10-1. They are now ahead 12-10, looking for 3 more outs. Post-game show will be next. Mark Stout is in the driver's seat. Mark?
You know what, Drew? This one is called a day tripper because if you explained it to somebody, they'd say you are tripping that the Rockies got this done. Extra, read all about it. 17 extra base hits in the game, and Reynolds Wrap, the rookie lefty Matt of the Rockies, kept this team in it. That's all to come on a post game that's going to be rowdy, guys.
All right, Mark. Clint Barmas is in the ballgame defensively at second base. And because of a double switch, the pitcher spot Lee is where Hinske is where the pitcher spot would be. There's been a couple double switches by Bobby Cox in this game. So Eric Hinske is at the plate, his first at bat. And that pitch misses. Matt Belisle got the final out of the 8th inning. And Houston Street is up throwing now. One ball, one strike. It'll be Hinske, Gonzalez, and Rick Ankiel. 2-1. Swung on and missed. 2-2.
Repeats his delivery so well. That's been the biggest key for Belisle. Really staying on his body line. The delivery repeats on all the pitches that he throws, all the way from the slider, curveball, changeup at times, even to the good fastball, and the extension out front. Very quiet delivery.
This is popped up and playable. Tulowitzki's got a beat on it and short left, one gone. What a wild line score. 3-4-3, just one for the Rockies, and then everything would tilt to the home team. And the big 4 spot in the bottom of the 8th inning. There was an inconspicuous start to the bottom of the 8th, and then Johnny Venters struck out Seth Smith looking. But then Ionette on a 3-2 pitch would walk. Mora would single. And you know what transpired after that. Strike one on Gonzalez. And he hits it in the air down the right field line. Foul ground, and it's going to land where nobody can reach it. 0-2 the count on Alex Gonzalez. The Braves have not been swept this year since the White Sox took 3 games from them on the south side of Chicago in late June. Here's the 0-2. And Gonzalez just did get a piece.
Not very good swings, are they? Very defensive type swings against Matt Belisle.
Despite that breaking ball, it is 1-2. Again, Rick Ankiel on deck. Just in case Houston Street continues to throw down in the Rockies bullpen. Worked each of the last 3 days. Popped out of play. The good news is, one of the reasons I'm sure Street was lobbying his skipper Jim Tracy to be able to work the 9th today, is that all 3 ball games were 1, 2, 3 quick outings.
Now here's my whole deal on what you're talking about.
Breaking ball, and it's rolled foul.
If he could pitch the 9th, he'd be in the 9th right now. If they want him in the 9th, he'd be in the 9th. And he's playing catch, and I understand that. But if it's 80% or 70% of Street, you got a chance of injury, you got a chance of not being successful, versus having a guy like Belisle go out and hopefully pitch the 9th and have a clean inning.
1-2 again. To third, Mora, 2 outs. Rick Ankiel, the last hope for the Braves. 12-10 Colorado. The last time and the only other time that the Rockies wiped out a 9-run deficit to win was the 4th of July 2008 when they were down 13-4 to the Florida Marlins. They would win that ball game 18-17. 0-2 on Ankiel. For those that played hooky and for those that stuck around when it was 10-1. They're 1 pitch away from having the afternoon of the summer.
Well, both ball clubs have the best daytime record in all of baseball. The Rockies will take that over after this win, hopefully.
1-2. Breaking ball hit in the air. Long run for Gonzalez. Sliding catch, he made it. Ball game over. It is complete. The Rockies have won it. Down 10-1. They win it 12-10. The guy who tied it up makes a sliding catch to end it. What a day. What an incredible day at Coors Field. Rockies 12, Braves 10, 4 straight victories for Colorado. Look again at the final out.
Sliding stop into that wall, and remember it's the knee issue for him just not too long ago. He's able to come out of this. Jim Tracy, did he get it? It's over. Let's high five and let's eat. This is a good one.
Unbelievable. Rockies win it 12-10. One of the greatest comebacks you will ever see. All right, Jimmy John's deliveries of the game, we give it to the bullpen and the work of Matt Reynolds, the kid who just came to the big leagues a few days ago. 3 innings of scoreless work, and then Joe Bible tacked on 5 more scoreless outs. Well done from the Rockies bullpen, and a save and actually a victory from Matt Belisle. Well, circle this date. If the Rockies do the improbable this year, you will not forget August 26th and that great come-from-behind victory. Stick around, the post-game report is next.